Bai Yi's own teammate put a purge order through his chest like he was taking out the trash. My man got downgraded from Divine Corps Commander, a forgotten stain on a cave floor in one betrayal. I am Bai Yi, and my only goal is to hunt down the god who gave the order and the traitor who pulled the trigger. Let me rewind. This guy lived and breathed the Corps. 10 years leading the most elite squad on the most brutal missions. He saved the world so many times he lost count. Then his own archer, a man he broke bread with for a decade, turned around and wiped the whole team because a god whispered in his ear, said they were getting too strong. So the traitor poisoned their breakfast for a month, tied them up with divine vines and executed them one by one. Let him watch his mage's head get blown off. Let him feel his assassin choke on her own blood. He died with a fist through his ribs, realizing the last 20 years of loyalty were just him being a pawn on a celestial chessboard. And just when his soul was about to fade, the demon king they just killed offers him a deal in a soul domain, says he can send him back, 20 years back, to his awakening day. And as a little bonus, he grafts his own demonic heart right into Bai Yi's chest. So Bai Yi wakes up, a teenager again, and steps into the awakening chamber expecting the same trash dust class power he had before. But the system goes haywire. It screams infinite awakening. He doesn't get one power, he gets to pick from all of them, every element, every class, and when he maxes one out, he unlocks another. Guys, absolutely smash that like button and hit subscribe if you're new. Your support means everything. Now, let's continue. The story begins in a world where magic is real and part of everyday life. This magical world also contains dangerous demonic caves filled with monstrous creatures. The same magic awakens special abilities in certain people, who become known as the Awakened. The most powerful group of Awakened is called the Divine Corps, led by the very strong and experienced commander named Bai Yi. He has served as their commander for 10 long years. And his team consists of several skilled members, including Ling Yu, an assassin, Han Xiaoling, a mage, Lucian, a support, and a mysterious archer. They are currently on a very important task assigned to them, and their specific goal is to find and kill a demon king called Belphegor. This demon king represents a triple S-class threat because he controls 5 different elemental powers, making him an extremely difficult enemy to defeat. The gods themselves issued the command for this critical mission. Following these divine orders without question, Bai Yi leads his team deep into the dark, foreboding demonic cave. He gives his squad the signal to begin their operation right away. This specific cave represents the 100th high-level demonic cave the team has entered as a unit. The mission bears the classification of an L-class purge operation because of its extreme level of danger. Despite the serious threat, the team feels a sense of excitement because the gods promised them a vacation following their successful defeat of Belphegor. The squad fights with perfect synchronization developed through years of shared battles. They release their combined powers against the swarms of demons attacking them. Bai Yi confidently leads the charge from the front. They slice through the demonic forces using swift and precise movements that demonstrate their high skill level. This combat proficiency stems from every Divine Corps member holding the elite status of L-rank warrior. After only a few minutes of perfectly coordinated effort, the team successfully clears the cave of all enemies and defeats the Demon King Belphegor. The team members voice their excitement about how surprisingly simple the mission appeared. However, Lucian feels doubtful about their easy victory. He mentions that the mission seemed too straightforward for something carrying an L-rank classification. Bai Yi shares this concerning feeling. He recalls the intelligence reports that stated Belphegor controlled 5 elements and also possessed a hidden skill they never witnessed. While Bai Yi analyzes what might have gone wrong, Ling Yue approaches him from behind and hugs him warmly. She asks if he will treat everyone to a celebratory feast. He feels somewhat annoyed by her forwardness and gently pushes her away. He informs the team they will have dinner at their usual meeting spot instead. Han Xiaoling expresses surprise that their captain would reject attention from Ling Yue. Then, the team notices their final member is missing from the group. This member did not participate in the battle and is nowhere to be seen. The team shows little concern about this absence since they completed their mission successfully. Suddenly, the missing member appears behind them without any warning. He raises his hand and announces the start of a purge operation. Han Xiaoling is immediately struck in the head by a projectile, dying instantly on the spot. Complete shock overwhelms the remaining team members as they see Han Xiaoling's body on the ground. Half of his head is destroyed, and blood pours onto the cave floor around him. While the team remains frozen in shock, the traitor reveals that God personally assigned him this purge mission. Bai Yi discovers he cannot move his body at all. The traitor explains that he has been mixing paralytic powder into their breakfasts for the entire past month. He then uses his divine skill called Forbidden Vines to restrain the entire team, completely limiting all their movement and preventing any possibility of escape. The traitor arrogantly explains he was assigned to wipe out the team and needed time for preparation. Bai Yi and the others demand to know why he betrayed them. The traitor replies that it is God's decree to eliminate all L-class warriors. He tightens the vines around Bai Yi and his teammates, forcing them to scream in agony. Ling Yue and Lucian slowly lose consciousness while coughing up blood. Bai Yi reminds the traitor that the Divine Core never crossed any lines that would deserve death. Since they followed all rules faithfully, Bai Yi wants to understand why they must die. The traitor arrogantly states that God does not need a reason to kill them. He walks close to Bai Yi and chokes him with the tightening vines. Then, he punches directly through Bai Yi's chest. Bai Yi feels completely devastated by this sudden betrayal. He had genuinely considered the traitor to be part of his family. The team has spent 10 full years together, becoming nearly inseparable through countless missions and shared life experiences. The traitor laughs cruelly at Bai Yi for being so naive and trusting. He states coldly that he was never truly their family member. From his very first day in the Divine Core, he explains, he has been working on a secret mission assigned by the gods themselves. Essentially, Bai Yi and his entire team were merely pawns in a larger game orchestrated by higher powers. The traitor reveals he joined specifically to study their strengths and weaknesses, and he played his friendly role perfectly throughout all those years. Bai Yi and his teammates finally lose their remaining life force and collapse completely onto the cave floor. The traitor stands over their fallen bodies and delivers a final shot directly to Bai Yi's head, ensuring his death. The date was May 22, 2125, and on that terrible day, Bai Yi and his entire team of L-class warriors were brutally killed. Their lifeless bodies were left on the ground while the traitor calmly walked away from the scene, already preparing for his promised vacation. But right then, something completely unexpected happened. Just as Bai Yi's consciousness was about to fade completely, he suddenly heard a deep voice demanding to make a deal. He opened his eyes and felt shocked to find himself bound in heavy chains within a strange and unfamiliar place. A creepy man wearing a formal suit and surrounded by a dark aura stood before him. Bai Yi looked more closely and realized with disbelief that it was Belphegor, the Demon King they had defeated. He wondered how the Demon King could possibly still be alive. Belphegor teased Bai Yi for his surprise, explaining that a high-ranking Demon King would not die so easily. He revealed they were currently within his soul domain, a special realm where the entire demonic kingdom served as his life force. Bai Yi felt impatient with the Demon King's chatter and urged him to get to the point. Seeing Bai Yi's anger, Belphegor offered him a deal. Belphegor revealed his hidden skill was life regression. He told Bai Yi he could send him back in time. This would give Bai Yi a chance to change the tragic events that had occurred. Remembering his team's brutal death, Bai Yi immediately agreed. He felt full of rage and promised to kill both the traitor and the gods who gave the order. Belphegor expressed satisfaction with this response. He gave Bai Yi an additional gift, his own heart, Belphegor's heart. Bai Yi wanted to know why the Demon King was helping him, but he was sent away before receiving an answer. Later, when he opened his eyes again, he felt shocked to find himself in a classroom, being scolded by his teacher, Teacher Huang. He realized Bai Yi had traveled 20 years into the past to the year 2105. He was now back to being a student in the Awakened Academy's middle school division, reliving the days just before his powers first awakened. Bai Yi feels shocked that he truly returned to the past. Teacher Huang scolds him for sleeping in class, especially just before his awakening ceremony. She punishes him by ordering him to stand at the back of the classroom. Still in disbelief, he slowly walks to the back, while staring at classmates he has not seen for almost 20 years. Teacher Huang continues the lesson. She explains the 5 elemental powers: lightning, flower, cloud, nuclear, and stellar. She states that a person can have only one element. She uses herself as an example, mentioning she has the rare cloud element. She adds that elements are divided into 3 categories based on how they bond with the body: combat, support, and special. She describes how each team combines the 5 elements with different roles. The school's guild team is an example, consisting of a stellar mage, a cloud warrior, a nuclear bard, and a lightning assassin. Teacher Huang praises the students for being special. She tells them Awakening Day is the most important day of their lives. She then adds that there are nearly 100 known awakened professions, and they are ranked from dust, the lowest, to celestial, the highest, with ember and abyss ranks in between. The students have only one chance at awakening. She lets them know the status they awaken with will decide their future. After the class ends, the students begin preparing for their upcoming awakening ceremony. Bai encounters a classmate he calls Specs because the boy always wears thick glasses. Specs is currently being bullied by an annoying student named Hong Quangsheng, who is already an E-rank stellar assassin. This early power makes Hong popular and feared among his peers. Bai feels no surprise at this scene because Hong always bullied weaker students in their school. Before Hong can bother Specs further, Teacher Huang arrives on the scene. She tells Hong firmly that school is not a place for bullying others or taking their money. Hong responds with arrogance and tries to change the story to his advantage. He claims that Specs bumped into him first and he was only taking money as fair compensation. Inside, he reflects that he would have gotten her fired from her job if she were not so attractive. Still, he decides to leave the area along with his friends. Seeing Bai standing in his path, Hong shoves him aside without any apology. Bai does not react physically, but simply watches as Teacher Huang checks on the upset Specs. Huang proves to be a good teacher who genuinely cares for her students despite her tough exterior. This situation triggers a memory in Bai from his past life. He remembers that 20 years ago, Teacher Huang had been the one to help him after his own awakening ceremony. Just then, another teacher informs Huang that it is her class's turn to use the awakening chamber. Like a concerned mother, she tells all her students to remain calm during the process to avoid any potential injuries. In this world, there are two main methods for awakening special powers. One method is natural awakening, which Hong Quangsheng experienced, and this early power is why he acts so arrogant. Natural awakening usually happens to people with strong physical constitutions when their talent activates during moments of extreme emotion. The other method is the artificial awakening process, where students with potential enter the special awakening chamber. The awakening chamber represents an important product developed by knowledgeable scientists over many years. Inside the chamber, a person's emotions and adrenaline levels become intensely stimulated. This powerful stimulation forces any dormant awakening potential within candidates to activate suddenly. Because this artificial awakening only happens once in a person's lifetime, it is considered the only real opportunity for most people to completely turn their lives around through gaining powers. Some of Bai's classmates enter the awakening chamber before him and receive nice professions. One awakens with the blue-tier Ember profession, which is the Amber class. Finally, it is Bai's turn. Teacher Huang tells him to focus while inside. Bai acknowledges her instruction and proceeds into the chamber. In his past life, he awakened as an E-rank nuclear warrior, a dust-tier class considered the trashiest profession. His awakening back then led to constant bullying. It was not until he reached S rank that he awakened the rarest type. Now, as he enters the chamber again, he fully expects to relive his past humiliation and receive the same trash profession as before. The chamber begins its process, but instead of a normal reading, the system's display screen suddenly flashes with a bright error message. Its sensors detect the impossible presence of 5 distinct elemental energies within his body, a stark contrast to the single element found in every other person. Bai feels a terrifying, burning sensation erupt within his very core, as if his insides are on fire. The system screen then clears, displaying a final, staggering message that simply reads Infinite Awakening. Bai receives a startling message from the system. The system informs him that he possesses the unique ability to select any class from any of the 5 elemental types as his starting profession. This revelation leaves him in a state of awe and confusion. He processes the information slowly, understanding that this choice is only the beginning. The system further explains that once his initial class reaches its maximum potential, he can then upgrade and unlock the other classes he did not choose first. This concept of progressive enhancement is entirely new to him. Bai feels a deep shock as he realizes the full extent of his new power. He has been granted something called elemental accumulation. This ability allows him to choose new classes in the future, starting from the lowest dust rank all the way up to the highest celestial rank. More importantly, he can maintain the qualities and strengths of each class as he progresses. The system even hints at the possibility of unlocking a hidden rank above celestial, something thought to be mythical. It dawns on him that all of this is happening because of the Demon King Belphegor's gift. Belphegor gave him the power of infinite awakenings, an ability that is completely unheard of in their world. This gift defies all known rules about awakening. The system presents him with a critical condition. Once he selects his initial class, all other elemental bars will be cleared and reset. This means he must choose wisely, as this first decision will set the foundation for his future growth. Bai takes his time, considering all options carefully. He reflects on his past life and his experiences. After much thought, he makes his selection. He chooses the Nuclear Warrior class, a decision that aligns with his previous life. He steps outside the chamber to face Teacher Huang, who is waiting with eager anticipation. She expresses excitement about hearing what profession he awakened with. Bai delivers the disappointing news that he awakened as a nuclear warrior, which is of the worst quality in the dust class. Teacher Huang is taken aback by this result. Despite her surprise, she remains a supportive and good teacher. She encourages him by saying that great men have also emerged from the dust class in the past. She urges him not to give up on his future efforts and potential. Bai responds to Teacher Huang's concern with humble acceptance, indicating there is no need for comfort because he has already accepted his dust class result. Their quiet conversation is unfortunately overheard by Hong Quangxing, the E-rank stellar assassin. Hong immediately inserts himself into their discussion, behaving exactly according to his bullying nature. He begins trash-talking Bai, claiming that Teacher Huang is only providing false hope to make him feel better. Hong states that reality is much harsher for those assigned to the dust class. He reminds Bai that being in the dust class means occupying the very bottom position in both social and power hierarchy. Hong continues his arrogant rant, elaborating on his belief that the gods choose the strong to prosper while the weak deserve to be trampled underfoot. This specific mention of the gods triggers a strong emotional response within Bai, given his traumatic past betrayal by them. However, Bai maintains a calm exterior, carefully hiding his inner rage from showing. Hong adds more insults to his speech, explaining that dust rank warriors must always sit in the back row during classes because that is how their society operates. He outlines the strict seating arrangement based entirely on rank, with celestial ranks sitting at the front, followed by abyss ranks, then ember ranks, and finally dust ranks at the very back. He states that dust rank warriors are considered societal trash who can only interact or conduct business with other low-tier ranks. He asserts that there is absolutely no way for Bai to change his fate through hard work, calling such efforts a complete waste of time. He angrily demands to know what Bai thinks he is doing. Bai replies that Hong's voice sounds like meaningless noise to his ears. Bai's actions and words completely infuriate Hong, who decides that Bai needs to be taught a severe lesson immediately. Hong aims a powerful energy punch directly at Bai's face. Teacher Huang tries to intervene and stop the fight, but her effort comes too late. Unknown to Hong, Bai is already fully prepared for the attack. Before the punch can land, Bai conjures a glowing light sword using his newly awakened abilities. He blocks Hong's attack effortlessly with the energy blade. Then, with a single skilled motion, he parries the attack aside and throws Hong a considerable distance away. This impressive display of combat skill shocks everyone present. Hong crashes hard onto the ground, coughing up blood as he struggles to comprehend what just happened to him. The other students watching the scene cannot believe their eyes. They feel amazed that Bai, who just awakened into the dust class, could perform such an incredible feat against an E-rank assassin. It turns out that Bai has intentionally chosen the nuclear warrior class because he is already completely familiar with it from his past life. He knows everything about this class, including all its strengths and advanced combat techniques that others have yet to learn. Hong manages to get back on his feet, still arrogant and claiming that Bai just got lucky. He emphasizes that he is an abyss rank assassin, which is completely different from a dust rank trash like Bai. However, Teacher Huang, with her keen observational skills, figures out that luck had nothing to do with it. She realizes that Bai used a top-tier movement skill exclusive to the warrior class called parry. This skill allows the wielder to nullify an attack completely while reflecting its full force back to the opponent only if used within 0.09 seconds after blocking the attack. She is shocked to see Bai execute it so easily, as it is a skill that even her master could not manage after 10 years of hard practice. She could not comprehend how Bai, having just awakened, already possesses such high combat experience and mastery, and while she is lost in thought, Hong unleashes his short sword, determined to take Bai down and embarrass him in front of everyone. He seems genuinely enraged and vows to humiliate Bai publicly. Bai just stands there calmly, reflecting that he intentionally picked the dust class. He knows that in the near future, all his critics will see the great side of the dust class, but by then, it will be too late for them to understand his true potential. The students feel hyped and excited as Bai and Hong Quangxing stand facing each other in fighting poses. Everyone wonders if a real fight will actually break out between them. However, the school maintains strict rules against using awakened powers for fighting on campus. This rule is important because violations can lead to severe consequences like immediate expulsion. Hong Quangxing comes from a powerful and influential family background, and his father serves as an important government official, while his uncle holds the position of dean at the Awakening Academy's junior high division. This strong family influence gives Hong Quangxing a sense of protection and contributes to his arrogant behavior. In complete contrast, Bai has no reputable family connections or wealth to support him. This means he faces everything to lose if he gets into serious trouble at school. Specs watches the dangerous situation with growing fear and concern. He worries that Bai might face expulsion for fighting. He turns to teacher Huang for guidance, asking her what they should do to prevent a disaster from happening. Teacher Huang quickly takes control of the escalating situation. She steps directly between the two boys and tells them firmly to stop their confrontation immediately. But Hong Guangsheng is already too angry and humiliated from their previous encounter to listen. He threatens to beat up Bai, even if Bai gets on his knees and begs for mercy. Hong Guangsheng sees himself as highly talented due to his abyss rank status, while he views Bai as just a loser from the lowest dust rank. Teacher Huang knows that Hong Guangsheng has a valid point about their power difference. Because as an abyss rank warrior, Hong Guangsheng receives a 200% boost in all his basic attributes including strength, speed, and durability. Abyss ranks are far superior to dust ranks because their attributes start at double the strength and they can continue growing stronger over time. Dust ranks, however, often remain stagnant with very little improvement throughout their lives. No one watching the confrontation believes Bai has any real chance of winning this fight. They all assume he will be crushed easily by the more powerful opponent. Specs agrees that Hong Guangsheng is a disgusting person, but he has always survived school by playing the fool and avoiding direct conflicts. He believes that avoiding Hong Guangsheng completely is the only safe strategy, since any head-on clash would lead to an unpleasant outcome for the weaker party. Just then, Hong Guangsheng runs toward Bai with full force, intending to launch a powerful attack. Teacher Huang feels extremely worried and screams a warning to Bai to watch out for the incoming assault. She assumes Bai plans to use the parry skill again for defense, but she knows this might not work effectively because the skill consumes a large amount of stamina. Plus, Hong Guangsheng's speed is so high that it could make the parry attempt useless. Even Hong Guangsheng himself feels confident that he has the clear advantage this time. But Bai just smiles calmly throughout the situation, showing no visible fear at all. He has no interest in dodging the attack because he has another card ready to play, a hidden skill prepared for this exact moment. Just as Hong Guangsheng reaches him, Bai activates the Flash Blink skill. This advanced skill creates an instantaneous flash effect that allows the user to pass through obstacles and move at incredible speed. Everything happens in the blink of an eye. Before Hong Guangsheng realizes what is happening, Bai has already moved behind him and delivered a precise hit to a vital part of his body. Hong Guangsheng coughs up blood from the powerful impact, struggling to understand how Bai got behind him so quickly. He slams the ground in frustration and humiliation, while the students around them are left in total disbelief. None of the onlookers could catch a clear glimpse of what Bai actually did. They only saw Hong Guangsheng crashing violently to the ground. Even teacher Huang had no clear idea what occurred in that decisive moment. However, the class president Qi Yin actually saw what Bai did with perfect clarity. Qi Yin realizes that Bai has mastered the highest level usage of a warrior's basic skill and applied it perfectly during the fight. This demonstrates exceptional combat experience and precise control that should be impossible for a new awakener. Meanwhile, the students murmur among themselves, questioning what is wrong with Hong Guangsheng and how Bai managed to defeat him so easily against all expectations. On his personal status screen, Bai notices that one of his attributes increased slightly because he defeated an opponent in combat. But he feels unimpressed with the few points gained, considering them too minimal to matter. He knows that defeating actual demons represents the only way to earn higher point values, and he plans to begin hunting them as soon as possible to grow stronger quickly. Still struggling on the floor, Hong Guangsheng is not ready to give up the fight. He tells Bai not to leave because he claims he is not done with him yet. He grabs his knife and tries to attack Bai from behind in a sneaky move. But before he can strike, a commanding voice tells them to stop immediately. The speaker is School Dean Hong Liang, who happens to be Hong Guangsheng's own uncle. Dean Hong Liang mocks his nephew, saying he has already made a complete fool of himself and should stop the embarrassing behavior. The dean then tells all the students to head home for the day immediately. At the mention of home, a sudden realization hits Bai with full force. He remembers that he has a home to go to now, something he had completely forgotten about because he was just reborn into this time period. In his past life, his parents had already died by this point, and something truly tragic happened on this very day that changed everything. Before Dean Hong Liang can address him directly, Bai frantically dashes off from the scene, running toward his home. Even Hong Guangsheng is shocked by Bai's sudden departure. Dean Hong Liang is left short of words but turns to teacher Huang, telling her to get her student under control. The dean promises to overlook what happened this time, and teacher Huang thanks him for his leniency. Later, Hong Guangsheng follows his uncle to the dean's office to justify what happened. He claims that Bai only got lucky during their fight. But Dean Hong Liang screams at him, saying that Bai Yi utterly humiliated him. The dean explains that he witnessed the event from a distance and saw Bai Yi use the flash blink skill with precision. In that split second, Bai Yi found Hong Quangxing's weakest point and struck it, leaving him completely defenseless. Dean Hongliang is pissed because even with his own experience, he cannot execute the flash skill with such proficiency. The dean compares Hong Quangxing's battle with Bai Yi to a pro gamer toying with a noob, letting his nephew know that Bai Yi is no ordinary kid and should not be underestimated. Meanwhile, Bai Yi is rushing through the streets, thinking about how important it is for him to get home quickly. He reaches the apartment building in record time, with his mind filled with memories of how things went down in his past life. He is determined to stop the tragedy from happening again, even if he dies trying. Bai Yi enters his house with a sense of urgent purpose. His father, Bai Lingxing, is sitting watching television in the living room, while his mother is in the kitchen, quietly washing dishes. Bai Yi's face shows clear anger as he comes through the door, an expression that surprises his father. Bai Lingxing voices his surprise at his son returning home so early from the important awakening ceremony. Bai Yi completely ignores his father's presence and focuses all his attention on his mother. Tears well up in his eyes as he looks at her, expressing his profound gladness that she appears safe and unharmed. His mother is mute and cannot speak, so she communicates with her son using sign language. She tells him she has prepared his favorite meal, hot and sour noodles, for his return. Bai Yi immediately rejects the offer, stating he has no interest in noodles today. He insists instead that he wants to eat pickled fish, a dish that would require her to leave the house and go to the market. His mother tries to argue against this sudden change of plans through her gestures, but finally gives in to her son's unusual stubbornness. She agrees to go get the pickled fish ingredients. Bai Yi offers to follow and accompany her to the store, but his father stops him from leaving. Bai Lingxing states that his mother can go by herself and does not need company. He then voices his annoyance that Bai Yi came home without greeting him properly. He stands up from his chair and gets his alcohol bottle. He asks Bai Yi about how his awakening went, showing eagerness to hear what powerful class his son awakened with. Bai Lingxing is revealed to be a class electric warrior with considerable strength, which makes him a dangerous and volatile man. Bai Yi tells his father a lie, claiming he did not awaken that day because the ceremony proceedings took too long. Bai Lingxing demands to know why his son came home early if he had not completed his awakening. He mentions feeling disappointed with his friend's son's awakening class and expresses his own expectation that Bai Yi would awaken with the powerful Abyss rank. Bai Lingxing boasts that he himself awakened with the Abyss rank and claims he has poured all his sweat and blood into raising his son properly. Now pissed off and emitting a scary aura of power, Bai Lingxing demands to know the truth about what Bai Yi awakened with. Engulfed in this intimidating aura, Bai Yi lies again and repeats that he has not awakened yet. This falsehood only makes his father angrier. In a sudden fit of rage, Bai Lingxing smashes a bottle over Bai Yi's head. He then uses his skill to discern that Bai Yi has awakened at the dust rank, which makes him even more furious, and he starts yelling violently. Bai Lingxing is a violent man who cannot control his emotions when angered. This triggers a memory for Bai Yi, a flashback to his previous life. In his past life, his father's fury and embarrassment over the dust rank awakening turned to extreme violence. Bai Lingxing had hit him, but his mother stepped in to protect him as she always did, and as a weak boy back then, Bai Yi could only watch helplessly as his father beat his mother for a full hour. The beating was so severe that one blow to her head left her permanently mentally unstable. He could only cry as he watched his mother get battered in his previous life, a memory that still haunts him. Now reborn, he aims to change this tragic outcome. He sadly realizes he still does not have the power to challenge his father, a C-rank Abyss class warrior with real combat experience. He understands he will need more time to level up and grow stronger. The clever tactics he used against Hong Quangxing at school will not work here against his father's raw power and experience. Bai Lingxing grabs him by the hair, ranting that he regrets Bai Yi was ever born. Bai Yi knows he is in a deep mess and a dangerous situation, as his father came home early specifically to wait for him and will not let him go until he feels satisfied. Knowing his father's capacity for violence, Bai Yi had specifically wanted his mother away from the house for her protection. He feels glad that he managed to get her out of the house temporarily. But as he celebrates this small victory internally, another powerful blow lands on his head from his enraged father. The situation worsens dramatically when someone enters the house unexpectedly. It is his mother, the very person he tried so hard to keep from witnessing the violence. She stands horrified at the scene, seeing Bai Lingxing pounding on their son's head as Bai Yi lies helpless on the ground. She had rushed back as fast as she could because she wanted to feed her hungry son quickly. Bai feels terrified to see his mother back so soon, his mind wondering with dread if history is about to repeat itself despite all his effort. And just as he feared, Bai Lingsheng immediately turns his violent attention toward the poor woman. Bai experiences another painful memory from his previous life. In this flashback, he finds himself sitting in a cold, dark prison cell. This happened in his past life after he achieved the remarkable feat of becoming the first person ever to advance from a lowly green tier to the prestigious platinum tier. Despite this incredible accomplishment, his cellmate expresses confusion about why such a powerful awakened warrior would be confined in a prison reserved for those sentenced to death. Bai provides only one grim explanation for his situation, admitting that he deserved to die because he had beaten his own mother to death in a fit of rage and despair. He further reveals that the authorities sentenced him to death for killing his father in revenge, a violent act driven by the trauma of what his father had done to his mother. Now, in present, Bai fears that history is on the verge of repeating itself. Bai Lingsheng, his father, continues his violent madness, and his mother, Ruyan, rushes to his side, her face filled with worry and fear. She kneels down to check on Bai, using her body to shield him from his father's further attacks. Bai realizes that he is stronger than an ordinary person due to his awakening, knowing that a normal individual would not have survived such a powerful punch from his father. Despite his injuries, he feels determination to protect his mother at all costs. Bai Lingsheng continues his furious rant, directing his words at his wife. He recalls feeling immense happiness when she was pregnant with Bai, especially since his siblings had failed to produce a son. He believed that his son was destined to restore the family's glory and honor through a powerful awakening. However, he now feels utter disgust and disappointment because Bai awakened with the worst possible class, the dust rank. Bai Lingsheng screams at Ruyan, reminding her that a dust rank warrior cannot advance or grow stronger, making it a trash class with no future. He blatantly blames her genes for this terrible outcome, accusing her of passing on inferior traits to their son. Bai Lingsheng then loses control completely and raises his hand to strike Ruyan. But Bai will not allow this to happen again. Using his flash blink skill with swift precision, he moves past his mother and positions himself to block his father's attack. The force of the impact throws Bai Lingsheng backward, but instead of being deterred, he smiles in a heroic and mocking manner. Ruyan feels a surge of fear, knowing that this defiance will only provoke her husband's wrath further. Bai Lingsheng gets to his feet and arrogantly strides toward his son, his intention clear to beat Bai into submission. Bai plans to use his parry skill to counter the attack, but before he can fully activate it, his father's punch breaks through his defense. The blow lands hard on Bai's face, causing blood to spill from his mouth and nose. Bai bitterly acknowledges the huge power gap between them, realizing that his current strength is no match for his father's C-rank Abyss-class abilities. Before he can even catch his breath, another punch comes his way. He manages to block it with his hands, but the shock from the impact still injures his ribs, sending sharp pains through his body. Bai Lingsheng prepares another powerful strike, intent on putting his son in his place and punishing him for having the guts to defy him. Bai sees the punch coming but finds himself unable to dodge or block it effectively. He can only cover his head with his hands in a desperate attempt to minimize the damage. The blow lands, and Bai Lingsheng tells Bai that he deserves to die for awakening with a useless class. Yet, despite the brutal attack, Bai remains standing, his willpower refusing to let history repeat itself. Seeing Bai still on his feet makes Bai Lingsheng even angrier. He mocks his son, asking if he thinks he is the real deal just because he awakened. In a fit of rage, Bai Lingsheng grabs a heavy chair, ready to smash it over Bai's head. Ruyan holds her son tightly, both of them bracing for the inevitable hit. But just then, a commanding voice from outside the door demands that they open it immediately. Bai Lingsheng feels disappointed by this interruption. Ruyan holds her son close, feeling a wave of relief. However, the knock on the door comes as no surprise to Bai, as he had secretly arranged for this intervention earlier. Bai Lingsheng acts tough as he goes to open the door, but his attitude changes drastically when he sees who is standing there. Two tough-looking men identify themselves as inspectorate investigators from the authorities. They are Deputy Captain Liang, a red A-rank warrior, and Investigator Cheng Jinwu, a blue C-rank operative. Bai Lingsheng is shocked to see them and trembles slightly as he asks what they are doing at his house. Deputy Captain Liang shows him a picture of a wanted criminal named Snow, inquiring if Bai Lingsheng has seen him recently. Liang explains that their office received an anonymous tip-off that Snow was spotted in this building, prompting a house-to-house search. Bai Lingsheng feels relieved to hear that he is not the reason for their visit. He smiles nervously and tells them he has not seen Snow, adding that since Snow is a popular figure always on TV, he would definitely report any encounter. Just then, Liang notices Bai Yi's battered condition and asks Bai Lingsheng what happened to him. Bai Lingsheng lies quickly, claiming that his son was careless and fell while buying groceries. He taps Liang on the shoulder, telling him not to worry about such trivial matters. But before he can finish, Bai Yi cuts in boldly, stating that his father is lying. Bai Yi reveals the truth, explaining that his father hit him repeatedly, which is why he is all bloodied and injured. It turns out 18 minutes before the investigators arrived at his home, Bai Yi had taken a decisive action. He went to the apartment building's phone booth and made a call to the police. He reported seeing the wanted criminal named Snow in the building, knowing full well that the authorities would treat any tip about Snow with utmost seriousness. He did not expect them to arrive so quickly, but their prompt response worked in his favor. Back in the present, Bai Yi feels relieved that the investigators came. His father, Bai Lingsheng, tries to dismiss his son's accusations with lies. He claims he does not have it in him to beat his own son, attempting to downplay the situation. However, Bai Yi counters this by stating the truth directly to the officers. He explains that his father hit him in the head with a wine bottle and on the arm with a stool. He points out all the places on his body where his father struck him, suggesting that the officers can evaluate his injuries for evidence. He further demonstrates his knowledge by quoting the rule of law regarding awakeners. He states that awakeners who cannot control their violent behavior and cause harm to others must be detained in the awakener prison for 15 days. The cops are both shocked and impressed by how knowledgeable Bai Yi is about the regulations. Bai Lingsheng turns to look at his son with pure contempt and hatred. With everything Bai Yi has revealed, Deputy Captain Liang has no choice but to arrest Bai Lingsheng. The officers immediately grab Bai Lingsheng, and when he tries to lunge toward his son, they warn him to calm down, or they will use force. Bai Lingsheng is forcibly dragged out of the house, but not before he threatens to wipe out his son once he is released. Bai Yi ignores this threat and calmly closes the door behind them. Once they are alone and safe, Bai Yi's mother, Ru Yun, runs over to hug him tightly. Bai Yi feels a deep sense of relief that he managed to save his mother from further harm. However, he knows he has only 15 days until his father returns, and he must use this time to get stronger. He promises his mother that Bai Lingsheng will never touch her again. Before his father was taken away, Bai Yi managed to grab the key to his father's safe. He knows from his past life that this safe contains something important, an item that helped his father climb from E rank to C rank. Later, Bai Yi heads to the safe and unlocks it using the key. The contents of the safe were a secret he learned only after his father's death in his previous life. He opens the safe and retrieves a scary-looking blade. This weapon is crucial for his plans. Bai Yi decides to take on the demon caves using this blade to upgrade his class and gain power. Since demon caves are the only way to upgrade his class quickly, he knows he has no other choice but to enter the dangerous labyrinth. There is a significant problem, though. The demon caves are under the jurisdiction of the gods, and only guild members are officially allowed to enter them. The ones Bai Yi can currently access are managed by his school, but he also knows about a hidden demon cave from his past life. This hidden cave is his best option for now. Soon, Bai Yi makes his way to this hidden demon cave, determined to surpass everyone as fast as possible. Meanwhile, at the inspectorate's detention room, officers discuss the Snow sighting, realizing it was a false alarm. They are not angry about it because they are always ready to investigate any lead related to Snow. While they talk, Bai Lingsheng tries to bribe them for his release. Deputy Captain Liang feels disgusted by this behavior, especially since Bai Lingsheng was once a guild member. The officers tell him that things will get worse if bribery is added to his charges. They urge him to stay put for the night before being transferred to the Awakener prison the next morning. Bai Lingsheng feels furious at this and his rage is now entirely directed at his son. Meanwhile, Bai Yi is fully aware that his father will be out in 15 days, so he prepares rigorously to take on the demon caves and level up. Demon caves are another space parallel to their world, accessed through doors that appear out of thin air. Once discovered, these caves are mostly taken over by guilds because they house demonic beasts and ores, making them the best places for awakeners to improve their skills and ranks. These caves are extremely dangerous, and a team is usually required to enter them safely. The cave Bai Yi is about to challenge was only discovered 5 years later in his past life. An F-rank cave typically requires 3 E-rank warriors, while an E-rank cave needs a 5-person team of 3 E-rank and 2 D-rank warriors. Bai Yi is confident that the cave he is entering is an F-rank 1, but he must face it alone. Despite the dangers, Bai Yi knows he has no other option. Armed with the weapon from his father's safe, he proceeds into the demon cave. The environment inside is filled with ice and snow, indicating that he is in the domain of a cloud-type magic beast. He strolls through this frozen domain, and soon runs into a sleeping ice bear. In front of the bear are human skeletons, showing that others might have entered before him and failed to survive. While Bai Yi is looking around, a bloodthirsty forest wolf appears and almost attacks him. The E-rank wolf is still stronger than Bai Yi in his current state. Bai Yi leaps backward to avoid the wolf's initial lunge, but the creature comes at him again. He manages to block the wolf's sharp teeth with the blade he carries. Bai Yi then goes on the offensive, taking down the wolf with a combo of perfect slashes. This feat is possible thanks to the A-rank weapon he wields that is a Kunwu blade made from Kunwu stone. This weapon is not available on the market, which is why his father kept it hidden. He casually reflects on how he misses being an L-rank awakener, remembering his past strength. He notes that he needs to defeat 20 wolves to upgrade one level on his skill set. Since he is fighting in an ice area, his cloud element will receive the upgrades. It will take him 10 upgraded levels to move from E rank to D rank. Soon, Bai Yi finds himself surrounded by a pack of wolves attracted by the smell of blood from the first kill. This situation presents a perfect yet dangerous opportunity to level up quickly. The wolves gang up on him, but he relies on 2 key skills, dodge and counterattack. He moves with precision, avoiding their attacks while striking back with his blade, each movement calculated to maximize his gains and minimize risks. Bai Yi maneuvers around the wolves without taking a single hit, and each time his blade connects, it inflicts significant damage on the creatures. Within a minute, he successfully eliminates the first pack of forest wolves, with every kill granting him 52 experience points toward his progression. Along with the experience, he collects 18 sharp wolf fangs from the fallen beasts, which could be useful for crafting or selling later. Now, there is still one wolf left, and it is none other than the formidable bloodthirsty Wolf King. Bai Yi, using his enhanced agility from his recent awakening, delivers multiple rapid cuts across the Wolf King's body. This continuous assault prevents the powerful creature from having any opportunity to heal or recover from its wounds, along with a rare snow wolf diamond as a reward, which is a very durable jewel known for its use in crafting special weapons and its high value in the market. Bai Yi reflects that this way, he should smoothly upgrade to D rank, and it turns true as with all the experience gained from clearing the first wolf pack and defeating the Wolf King, Bai Yi accumulates enough points to upgrade from E rank to D rank. However, despite this significant progress, he notices how extremely tired he feels after taking down just 20 wolves. This fatigue makes him reflect on the limitations of his current E-rank body. Bai Yi admits to himself that tackling a demonic cave alone represents a difficult and strenuous task. The Snow Wolf Diamond he obtained is certainly a valuable find, but he knows that accessing higher-tier demonic caves requires joining a powerful organization like the Divine Core. He remembers that awakening schools operate under the jurisdiction of major guilds, which often send representatives to scout promising young warriors. It is every student's dream to graduate and join a prestigious guild, as this opens doors to better resources and greater opportunities. However, if a student gets kicked off their team, their entire career can be ruined, which is exactly what happened to his father Bai Lingsheng, leaving him permanently stuck at C rank without any further advancement. Looking at his current situation, Bai Yi realizes that continuing to fight alone will burn through even more of his limited stamina, and he already feels completely exhausted. But before he can rest properly, another full pack of wolves appears suddenly, forcing him back into immediate action. To manage this new threat effectively, he decides to use a clever trick he has planned beforehand. He runs away from the wolves, leading them to follow him into a denser part of the forest within the cave. There, he cuts down several trees to create more space and disrupt their organized pursuit. This disturbance attracts more dangerous beasts, the cloud pythons, which adds to the growing chaos. Now, Bai Yi has to deal with both the wolf pack and the aggressive pythons simultaneously. To extricate himself from this dangerous situation, Bai Yi kicks his plan into motion. He creates a loud explosion using his combat skills, hoping specifically to wake a particular sleeping beast known as the Frost Bear, and his plan works exactly as intended. And the enraged Frost Bear emerges angrily from its hidden den. The massive bear attacks anything in its sight, including both the wolves and pythons, smashing them indiscriminately in its rage. While the bear rampages through the area, Bai Yi takes advantage of the confusion to clean up from behind, landing finishing blows on the injured beasts and earning a substantial amount of experience points. He continues with these clever tactics, gathering more points and collecting additional loots like python fangs and wolf fangs along the way. Bai Yi has used the beast's natural weaknesses against them effectively. They possess great aggression but lack basic intelligence, making them relatively easy to manipulate strategically. By pitting the Frost Bear against the other creatures, he has conserved his own precious stamina while still gaining valuable experience. However, he knows he must deliver the final blows personally to receive the full system rewards. Even with the bear's help, Bai Yi feels completely exhausted and decides to move to the next phase of his plan. He has successfully lured most of the remaining beasts on an ice bridge suspended between two cliffs. So, after carefully analyzing the terrain, he strikes the ice floor with his blade, breaking it completely and causing most of the beasts to fall to their deaths all at once. This brilliant plan eliminates almost all the remaining threats efficiently, but Bai Yi remains completely exhausted and must still handle the frost bear and any surviving wolves personally. At this point, the system unlocks a new title for him called 1 against 100. This special title increases all his stats by 10% whenever he fights multiple enemies, providing a slight advantage for his future battles. However, Bai Yi is not overly worried about the frost bear yet, as he knows every demon cave has a final boss creature, and he expects it to show up soon. He wonders why the boss has not appeared already, given all the chaos he has caused within the cave. Suddenly, an ice spell hits the area without warning. Before Bai Yi can react, he and the remaining beasts are struck by the spell. He realizes that his assumption was wrong. The final boss had already awakened and was waiting for the perfect moment when everyone was exhausted and gathered in one spot. The spell freezes his legs, making it hard for him to escape. It dawns on him that the ice bridge was part of the boss's trap, designed to lure everyone into a vulnerable position. The boss had set everything up to appear and reap all the rewards after the fighting. Just then, the final boss reveals itself. It is the King of the Azure Forest, a level 11 demonic monkey, accompanied by other level 10 demonic apes as guards. On the other hand, now almost whole body of Bai Yi is covered in ice, and he could not even flinch, while the demon monkey wears an evil smirk looking at him, showing its intelligence and cunning nature. Bai Yi's body is now completely encased in ice, causing him to fear the onset of hypothermia, a condition that would certainly mean his end if not addressed quickly. The King of the Azure Forest, the level 11 demonic monkey boss, raises its hand and points directly at Bai Yi, issuing a silent command to its minions. The demonic apes and other beasts immediately prepare to attack the frozen intruder. Realizing he is trapped and vulnerable, Bai Yi resorts to using his parry skill as a last resort. This skill demands precise timing, so he waits patiently until the attacking beast's blow is about to land on him. At the critical moment, he activates both the parry and shatter skills simultaneously. The shatter skill allows an awakener to use all their stored energy to break free from control effects like ice immobilization, but it consumes a massive amount of stamina in the process. The ice around him cracks and shatters, freeing his body temporarily, and he successfully blocks the incoming attack from the ape. However, this effort drains a significant portion of his remaining stamina, leaving him in a weakened state. But the demon monkey, acting like a proper villain from a distance, orders the huge ice bear and remaining wolves to swarm Bai Yi. Since Bai Yi's nuclear element has inherent disadvantages against the cloud-based elements of these beasts, his chances of winning appear very low. He is already low on stamina and growing more exhausted with each passing second. Plus, the demon monkey is just sitting back comfortably, directing its minions without engaging directly, adding to Bai Yi's frustration. Bai Yi fears that if more beasts join the fray, he will certainly die. While desperately trying to think of an escape plan, one of the demonic apes attacks him with a large club, attempting to smash him into the ground. Bai Yi only manages to block the attack with his Kunwu blade, but the force pushes him backward, causing his knee to scrape harshly against the icy floor as he struggles to maintain balance. This sudden assault causes him to lose all his remaining strength, putting him at a serious disadvantage. Plus, the constant screaming from the huge ice bear further weakens his concentration and resolve. Then, the ice bear hurls a massive ice boulder at Bai Yi, but he manages to cut it down with a swift strike from his blade. Despite this small victory, the freezing cold environment does not help his situation, as his stamina has almost hit zero. Once the demon monkey notices that Bai Yi is nearly drained of energy, it uses his ultimate skill called Ice Storm. Bai Yi is shocked by this development, not expecting the monkey's ultimate ability to have such a fast cooldown period. He just stares at the incoming attack, realizing the grave danger he is in. This moment triggers a memory from his past life, a flashback to when he faced similar life or death situations as an L-rank awakener. In those times, he developed a sharp sense for recognizing opportunities and making split-second decisions. Drawing on that experience, Bai Yi assesses his current state and realizes he has only two options. The first option is to stay and fight, but since his stamina is at its limit and he continues to take damage, he knows he will not survive this battle. The second option is simple: run away and live to fight another day. Without wasting any time, Bai Yi chooses the second option. He turns and leaps off the cliff behind him, hoping to escape into the river below. However, as he jumps, the demon monkey hits him with a final ice spell that catches his feet, forming ice around them and causing him to lose balance. Instead of a controlled leap, he tumbles uncontrollably and falls into the river below with a hard crash. Meanwhile, back at home, Ba Yi's mother, Ruyan, enters his room early in the morning. She thinks he is still sleeping after the stressful events of the previous day, but she is shocked to find the room empty. Ba Yi had left home the day before, which was a Friday, and now it is Saturday. She discovers a note left by her son on his bed. The note explains that he went to a friend's house and urges her not to worry about him. However, this note only makes her more anxious because she knows her son would typically tell her such things in person rather than leaving a written message. She wonders what is going on with him since he has been acting strangely since the day before, with several unsettling thoughts running through her head, making her feel deeply uneasy. Back in the demon cave, Ba Yi survives the fall into the river. Jumping off the cliff was actually part of his escape plan, as he remembered that nearly 100 beasts had fallen into the river when he broke the ice bridge earlier. However, he had only received rewards for 40 of them, meaning the others must have survived the fall as well. Now, he coughs in pain as he drags himself out of the cold river water. Though he survived the plunge, he is running on very low stamina and is in a critical condition. He suffers from severe blood loss due to his injuries, hypothermia from the icy water, and is in a completely weakened state. Plus, his body is severely damaged from the high fall, with bruises and possible fractures. Without a doubt, Ba Yi knows he has reached his physical limit, and now as he lies there on the riverbank, shivering and in pain, he wonders if this is truly the end for him. Right then, a glacier overlord, a level 9 E-class cloud element beast, approaches him with slow, menacing steps. This creature is ready to finish him off. Seeing him as easy prey in his vulnerable state, the beast's icy presence sends chills through the air, adding to the freezing environment around them. In this critical moment, Ba Yi's mind drifts into a flashback, recalling memories from his past life. He remembers the good times with his teammates in the Divine Corps, where they shared laughter and fought together as a family. He thinks of his mother Ruyan's gentle care and the warmth she always provided. These positive thoughts are mixed with darker memories of his father Bai Lingsheng's wickedness and the intense pain of the traitor's betrayal that led to his death. A voice in his head whispers that this is the end, urging him to give up. But this thought is enough to make Ba Yi clench his fists in defiance. He decides firmly that it is not over yet. With great effort, Ba Yi manages to stand up just as an ice bear moves in to attack him. The beast opens its massive jaws, aiming to crush him with its giant teeth. Ba Yi raises his hand swiftly, blocking the attack and stopping the teeth from closing in on him. He feels a surge of determination, remembering that he has already died once and lost everything. This time, he is committed to turning his fate around and protecting what matters most. Fueled by this newfound will, Ba Yi smashes the glacier overlord with a powerful blow and throws it far into the distance. He lets out a cold breath, gripping his kunwu blade tightly once more. This desperate act triggers something deep within him, pushing him toward a potential class advancement. A yellow aura begins to swirl around his body, illuminating the area as monsters surround him. Ba Yi reflects that only a truly desperate situation can trigger a class advancement. This knowledge motivated his choice to solo the labyrinth, his tactic of luring numerous beasts into one area. So far, his entire strategy was designed to reclaim that specific feeling of extreme desperation he remembered from his past life, a feeling essential for power growth. The system then delivers its notification. It confirms he has experienced extreme desperation and that his maximum adrenaline has been stimulated. The system then begins triggering advancement, but the final conditions are not met, and the system reports that the class advancement has failed. Despite this failure, the effort is not wasted. Instead of achieving a class advancement, he unlocks a new ultimate skill named Nucleo Holy Swordsman. This skill is well ahead of its time in the current level of Ba Yi, offering a powerful advantage. With this skill and the adrenaline coursing through him, Ba Yi feels energy brimming within his body. He points his sword at the surrounding beasts, stating that it is time for them to be wiped out. One beast moves forward, and the others follow suit, but Ba Yi remains unfazed. He prepares his short sword and unleashes a swirling, dangerous attack known as Sanctuary. This attack cuts through all the surrounding beasts in a single slash, defeating them instantly. Notifications pop up, informing him that he has defeated ice bears and forest wolves, along with the experience points acquired. After eliminating the monsters, he collects items like Icefield Beast Hide, Proud Barebone, and Blood Tooth. Plus, the Sanctuary skill not only clears his fatigue but also restores his lost stamina, leaving him refreshed and powerful. Additionally, Ba Yi obtains an upgrade and earns the Icefield Wanderer title. This title provides resistance to cloud element creatures and a 100-point damage reduction, which is exactly what he needs for the challenges ahead. Bai stares up at the top of the cliff, promising to wipe out the remaining beasts, including their boss, the demon monkey. With the flood of experience points, he upgrades to level 9 of the E class. He immediately activates the Ice Field Wanderer effect to resist the cold environment. The Sanctuary skill also allows him to store damage from attacks and release it on a group of enemies at once, though he can only use this after taking significant damage. He feels thankful that the skill restored his stamina, giving him a second wind. Bai then remembers he needs to finish quickly and return home before his mother worries about his absence. He climbs the cliff with renewed vigor and makes his way to the demon monkey boss's palace. The demon monkey is meditating inside a shelter, protected by numerous other ice beasts, but Bai does not care about the obstacles. He bursts into the palace with determination, ready to confront the final challenge. And now, after taking out more beasts in his path, he is at the last level of the E class, level 10. Meanwhile, the time reaches 11 p.m. and Bai's mother, Ruyun, feels serious worry about her son's absence. She has prepared food for him, but is left wondering where he could be. She prays silently for his safety. At the same time, inside the boss's palace, Bai confronts the huge ice bear guarding the area and defeats them easily. He then faces the monkey boss's personal guards, the scary demonic apes. The monkey boss appears unafraid and orders its guards to eliminate Bai. One ape jumps toward him, but Bai simply blocks the attack and slices it in half with his Kunwu blade. The monkey boss sees this and realizes the situation might be dire. It angrily unleashes its ultimate skill, the Ice Storm Assault, but the attack has no effect on Bai, who is now immune due to his abilities. Bai dashes toward the monkey boss. In desperation, the boss raises its staff, activating a spell that causes the jewel on it to glow. This puts the other monkeys into a hyper mode, making them more aggressive. However, Bai does not see them as a threat. He views them only as beasts he needs to kill to reach D class. He cuts through the beasts effortlessly before severing one of the monkey boss's arms. The boss screams in pain as blood spills from the wound. Before it can react further, Bai gives it a death stare and unleashes a series of cuts on its body, defeating it completely. A system notification informs Bai that he has successfully defeated the D-class cloud element user, the king of the Azure Forest, and gained 1,000 experience points. He advances to the D-class nuclear warrior. Several items have dropped as well, and he excitedly looks at them. But just then, the system tells him that because of the experience gathered from fighting a cloud element enemy, a new profession for him is about to awaken. Bai feels shocked, having completely forgotten about this possibility. The next moment, a red and blue aura emanates from his body, and he awakens the red-class cloud element mage profession and can now switch professions at any time. Bai feels excited to have awakened a red profession even at E-class, noting that unlike the nuclear class with its 100% bonus, the red class comes with a 200% bonus. The red class's strength is already on the same level as his current class. Bai then starts picking up the items. He receives a D-class mage weapon, the Stone of Magic, and a D-class magic pouch that can hold 20 items. While he loots, the remaining beasts can only watch. After he is done, Bai looks up and realizes some beasts survived. Since he just awakened a new profession, he decides to test it on them. He switches to mage mode, with a red aura coming from his eyes as he prepares to annihilate them. The time now is 5 a.m. The next morning, a Sunday. Bai's mother has not slept and is sitting in the living room, hoping for her son's return. Just then, Bai opens the door and enters. His mother immediately stands up. Bai enters, smiling and apologizes for making her worry. His mother runs over and hugs him tightly while crying. Bai is shocked to see she has been waiting for him and has not eaten. He then tells her he has good news to share. It turned out that back in the demon cave, Bai had gathered all the valuable items using the magic pouch he found during his earlier battle. He later carried these materials to the market to sell for money. He met an ore broker who showed interest in purchasing the entire lot of ore. The broker initially offered only 800 coins for all the materials. However, Bai immediately countered with a much higher price of 8,000 coins. This bold demand shocked the broker, who had not expected such a steep counteroffer from what appeared to be a young seller. The broker, not wanting to lose the valuable materials, quickly increased his bid to 2,000 coins. Bai responded by demanding 5,000 coins instead as his new price. The broker tried to counter with 3,000 coins. However, Bai was now feeling annoyed by the continued negotiation, raised his demand to 6,000. The broker became frustrated and demanded to know why Bai Yi is increasing the price. In response to this outburst, Bai Yi raised his price even higher to 7,000 coins. The broker finally realized that Bai Yi would not back down under any circumstances. He reluctantly agreed to pay 7,000 coins and asked Bai Yi to stop the aggressive negotiation. Bai Yi's confidence in this negotiation comes from his past life experiences, where he frequently dealt with brokers and learned their tactics. Now, with the money earned from the sale, he decides to rent a new apartment for his mother, Ruyan. He recalls that in his previous life, his mother faced one problem after another, living in hardship. Now, he is determined to care for her and ensure she enjoys a comfortable life. He finalizes the apartment deal in front of his mother, who is shocked by the high cost but grateful for his efforts. By 8 p.m. that Sunday, they have settled into the new apartment. Bai Yi feels happy seeing his mother smile, as it has been a long time since he witnessed such joy on her face. Despite this positive change, Bai Yi knows he cannot let his guard down, as his father, Bai Lingsheng, remains a threat, and Bai Yi wants to resolve this issue before pursuing his main target, the traitor who betrayed his team. And to prepare for future battles, he crafts and wears the magic stone he obtained earlier on his right arm that increases area of effect magic by 50%. Meanwhile, Hong Guangsheng is training intensely, moving from one labyrinth to another without rest. He is so focused on surpassing his limits that he even slaps away his sister's hand when she tries to convince him to take a break. He mutters that he is prepared to do anything to maintain his top position among the students. Elsewhere, an unknown person reviews the list of newly awakened students, expressing disappointment at the lack of exceptional talent. This individual seems to be searching for someone with great potential but finds the current candidates lacking. The next morning, at 7:30 a.m., Bai Yi wakes up to find that his mother has prepared food for him. He is shocked to realize he is running late for school. He asks her why she did not wake him earlier, and she explains through gestures that he was resting so peacefully she could not bear to disturb him. She pats him on the head gently, urging him to eat slowly without rushing. With her comfort, Bai Yi calms down, reflecting on how long it has been since he slept so soundly or enjoyed a leisurely breakfast. During the meal, his mother asks if there is anything he wants, such as a toy or a book, surprising him with the offer. She reminds him that his birthday is next Friday, June 5th. Bai Yi is taken aback, as he had completely forgotten about it. This forgetfulness stems from his past life. After his mother died, no one celebrated his birthday again, and he gradually stopped remembering it. Now, as he eats, he tries to think of something he might want but feels confused because he already has what he truly desires: his mother's safety and a chance of revenge. Right now, his most important goal is to kill the traitor responsible for his and his team's deaths. Later, Bai Yi arrives at the Awakening Academy and learns about an upcoming event. The academy is preparing all students for an important combat simulation. Combat trainer, Teacher John gathers the newly awakened students to explain the details. He tells them that the Divine Guild itself will supervise this simulation, watching their every move closely. He emphasizes that this event will also serve as their final graduation assessment. The entire simulation will be broadcast live for everyone to see. Teacher John explains that the best performer in the assessment will win a special reward. This reward is a spot in a joint training camp with the high school division, an opportunity that comes only once a year. He describes this camp as the best possible way for students to connect with the Divine Guild and advance their future careers. The school typically organizes the top students from both middle and high school to travel together to the Shenhe Nation, where the Divine Guild headquarters is located. Hearing the name Shenhe Nation triggers a memory in Bai Yi. He remembers this place from his past life as where he first met his master. It is also the birthplace of the traitor who killed his team. However, Bai Yi recalls that in his original timeline, the traitor never met his master because he joined the Divine Corps after Bai Yi had already been a member for some time. Bai Yi knows he must achieve very high scores in this assessment. Entering the training camp will give him more opportunities to investigate and find the traitor before he can cause any harm. The simulation battle is scheduled for the coming Friday, leaving them only 4 days to prepare. Some students feel excited about this chance for glory, but others are clearly worried. Specs expresses concern because the event takes place inside a real labyrinth, which means they will face genuine dangers. Teacher John then directs all the students to the training room for their first preparation session. He explains that this session involves physical conditioning inside a special gravity room, and orders everyone that they must complete 10 full sets of shuttle runs to build their stamina and strength for the upcoming challenge. Surprisingly, Bai Yi walks directly up to Teacher John and informs his teacher that he does not wish to use the recommended training room for his preparation. Bai Yi's declaration shocks Teacher John and the other students in the class. Teacher John expresses concern that Bai Yi might be getting overconfident after defeating Hong Guangsheng, thinking he is trying to skip standard training. However, Bai Yi clarifies that he desires more specialized training tailored to his specific needs. Teacher John feels confused by this and asks if Bai Yi is implying there is a problem with the current training methods. Bai Yi explains that physical conditioning is necessary for most awakeners, so the gravity room is not a bad option. But he believes the shuttle run exercise is best suited for classes like assassins and warriors that require speed and coordination, not for everyone. He suggests that classes such as mages and chanters would benefit more from training in the element room. He adds that each student should be allowed to train differently since their classes have unique functions and requirements. Teacher John hears this and points out that Bai Yi is essentially teaching him how to do his job. Chi-yin overhears the conversation and feels shocked. She realizes that Bai Yi's proposed training method matches exactly what a Divine Corps training officer, Mr. DONGHUA, recently mentioned. This method is very new, and she would only know about it because her father brought home a videotape of the lecture. Chi-yin is surprised that Bai Yi came up with the same idea independently. Specs advises Bai Yi to avoid being too blunt with Teacher John, who is the school's most authoritative trainer. But instead of getting angry, Teacher John pats Bai Yi on the shoulder, smiles, and admits that the training method Bai Yi mentioned is interesting. The teacher then explains that with so many students, it would be difficult to cater to everyone's specific needs in such a short time. He emphasizes that combat simulation assesses student performance, and any mistakes could derail a student's entire future. Bai Yi remembers that in his past life, despite having a difficult family situation, his teachers supported him and helped him grow into a responsible person. He turns to Teacher John and assures him that he will not let him down. Teacher John then asks Bai Yi how he intends to train as a nuclear warrior. Bai Yi suggests turning on the elemental suppression in the element room to its maximum setting. This idea shocks both the teacher and Specs. Bai Yi lies about his reasons, stating that even though he is a warrior, he wants to balance his abilities by challenging his weaknesses. He hides the fact that he actually wants to train his newly awakened mage profession in secret. Just then, Chi-yin raises her hand and expresses interest in practicing elemental control as well. Teacher John gives in and allows both Bai Yi and Chi-yin to train as they wish, but he urges them to do their best. Chi-yin then approaches Bai Yi and suggests they practice together, but Bai Yi quickly rejects her, stating he is entering a private room. Chi-yin claims that this rejection has motivated her to do her best in return. While training in the elemental room, Bai Yi experiences some difficulty because he is still new to the mage profession. He plans to master it quickly in the limited time available and also decides to hide his ability to switch professions since the school is under the god's supervision and every student's move is watched. He wants to avoid becoming an early target for the gods by revealing his unique powers. Meanwhile, Chi-yin trains with 1% elemental suppression, believing she can rival Bai Yi's strength through sheer effort. After school, Specs and another friend catch up to Bai Yi, asking him to slow down. These two were Bai Yi's best friends in middle school during his past life, and because they were all weak and often bullied, their friendship provided the only happy moments he had back then. Now, focused on revenge, Bai Yi does not think he needs social interactions. To get away, he gets on his bicycle and rides off, leaving them behind. They cannot believe he ran off again, as they were supposed to be an unbreakable trio. Specs points out that Bai Yi has totally changed since his awakening and now appears like a confident and distant person. Moments later, they catch up to Bai Yi, who is waiting for them. He tells Specs to get his lungs checked when he has free time. The two friends feel happy that he finally stopped, but Bai Yi shatters their hopes again by stating they are too slow to keep up with him. He gets back on his bike and rides off, leaving them in shock. This moment triggers a flashback for Bai Yi. In his past life, Specs was suddenly diagnosed with a lung disease and passed away shortly after. Bai Yi wants Specs to stay alive and healthy, even if it means they do not become friends in this timeline. On the other hand, Specs believes that Bai Yi is still the same person deep down, despite his cold exterior. Meanwhile, at the recruit training ground in the Shanghai nation, two men are discussing a new recruit who has been performing exceptionally well. This recruit shares the same distinctive hairstyle as the traitor who betrayed Bai Yi and his team in the future. That same evening, Bai Yi returns home and speaks with his mother, Ruyun. He advises her to avoid going out alone for her safety. He assures her that he will always return home early with groceries to minimize any risks. Bai Yi feels worried about the environment not being entirely safe for his mother and believes he needs to provide a better and more secure place for her. Meanwhile, at the Awakener's prison, his father, Bai Lingxing, is already making a deal with one of the chefs, and this secret arrangement suggests he is planning something for his release or future actions. The next day, it is Tuesday, and Bai keeps focusing on his training. He manages to familiarize himself with how mages operate, realizing that the key aspects are casting time and calculating the required elemental power. He pushes the training room to its limits to master these skills. While he trains intensely, his friends, Specs and another classmate, struggle with their shuttle runs in the gravity room, finding the physical conditioning challenging. After the training session, Specs and his friend invite Bai to join them for dinner. However, Bai bluntly refuses, explaining that he needs to return home early. Before leaving, he offers some advice to his friend who is an archer, sharing a secret technique for improving archery skills. The archer friend feels happy and grateful after hearing this advice. On Thursday, Specs visits the school clinic for a checkup. The doctor informs him that he is very lucky to have come in early. The doctor explains that a fast-growing parasitic tumor is present in his lungs and advises him to schedule surgery at a major hospital soon to have it removed. Specs thanks the doctor and assures him he will make an appointment. While Specs leaves the clinic, he remembers that Bai was the one who warned him about his lungs days earlier. He wonders how Bai could have known about the health problem, which deepens the mystery around his friend's recent behavior and knowledge. Soon after, Specs overhears some students talking about Hong Guangsheng. They mention that Hong has reached E-Class Level 4 and believe he will be the best performer in the upcoming assessment. They reveal that Hong's family owns a private labyrinth, which he has been using to level up as part of their private army. Then, the students discuss Hong's plan to teach Bai a lesson after school for the incident last weekend. They say Hong is very angry and even plans to kill Bai, having armed himself with a weapon to make the attack more dangerous. Specs hears this and immediately realizes that his friend Bai is in grave danger. He feels a surge of concern and urgency, knowing he must act quickly to warn or protect Bai from Hong's vengeful plot. Specs feels deeply worried about Bai's safety after overhearing the students' conversation. Their words make it clear that Bai is in serious danger, and Specs cannot stay still. He decides right away that helping his friend is more important than anything else. He rushes through the school corridor, not caring who might see him or what rules he might break. Thoughts keep running through his mind, especially about Hong Guangsheng and what dirty tricks he might be planning this time. Specs worries that Hong might not be alone and could have brought a group of fighters with him to ambush Bai. He then suddenly stops moving as doubt creeps in. Specs realizes that even if he catches up, he might not be able to stop them. He knows that in a real fight, he is probably useless. Fear tells him to turn back. However, just then he remembers how Bai warned him about his lung condition. That warning saved his life. He realizes that Bai treated him like a brother that day, not just a classmate. Now it is his turn to return the favor. Without hesitating anymore, Specs changes direction and heads for the school's armory. The door is locked, but that does not stop him. He breaks the lock and forces the door open. A voice in his head tells him this is against the school rules. But another voice reminds him that Bai risked his own safety for him once. Specs tells himself that some rules are worth breaking. He walks inside, eyes scanning the racks of weapons lining the walls. He sees all sorts of options, but his eyes fall on a massive axe that gives off a strong presence. He grabs it tightly, saying he is ready to fight, even to the death. Just then, Chi-yin calls out to him from behind. She questions what he is doing there and why he looks so panicked. Specs freezes for a moment, thinking about staying silent, but Chi-yin does not back down. She demands to know what is going on and reminds him that he seems to be in a rush. Specs finally turns around and shouts out that Bai is in danger. He explains that he has to go save him. At that exact time, Bai is walking alone through a quiet part of the school grounds. Something feels wrong. He senses someone following him. He continues walking until he reaches a narrow alleyway. Once there, he suddenly stops and demands the stalker to show himself. A figure steps out from the shadows. It is Hong Guangsheng. He looks furious and ready for a fight. In one hand, he holds a sword, and his face shows that he is not interested in talking. Hong walks forward, stating that it is time to settle things between them. He wants revenge for their last encounter and makes it clear that he has been waiting for this moment. Bai turns around slowly, and his eyes carry no fear, only disappointment. He wonders if Hong really believes he has the ability to defeat him. Hong ignores the look and confidently declares that he can take Bai down. Without warning, he charges forward using a skill called Accelerate. He moves at an unnatural speed, his image blurring with momentum, shouting that he has not stopped training since their last fight. He then tightens his muscles as he adds another skill to his attack and instantly appears behind Bai. It looks like the perfect sneak strike, and he believes this time Bai will not escape. However, before his sword can make contact, Bai vanishes from his sight. In just one blink, Bai reappears at a new spot. He grabs Hong mid-motion and slams him into the ground with frightening force. Hong's back crashes against the dirt, and pain shoots through his body. He cannot understand how Bai moved so quickly or hit with such force. Shock fills his eyes as he realizes something terrifying. Bai's strength is on a completely different level. Bai stands tall above him and explains that Hong is not the only one who has been training. Those words cut deeper than any weapon. Hong looks up at the dagger now pressed into the ground beside his head. The blade didn't touch him, but the meaning behind that move is loud and clear. Bai is holding back, choosing not to kill him, even when he easily could. In that moment, Hong fully understands the gap between them. Bai is not just stronger by a little, he is miles ahead. Even though they are both the same age and enrolled in the same school, the difference in their abilities is like night and day. The figure standing before him is no longer just a classmate or a rival. Hong sees a powerful force that he cannot overcome, no matter how hard he trains or how many shortcuts he takes. The realization that Bai has grown far stronger hits him like a heavy blow. He raises his voice in frustration, shouting at Bai to reveal what level he has reached. Hong cannot accept that someone else, someone he once looked down on, has surpassed him so easily. Anger fills his voice as he asks how Bai managed to improve so quickly. He explains that his own journey to level 4 was not easy. Every step forward required sleepless nights, painful effort, and strict discipline. He kept pushing himself harder than anyone else just to reach this level. Bai responds with only a slight smile. That small expression carries more weight than any words. He replies with a question of his own and asks if Hong has ever experienced death. Hong grits his teeth as Bai's knife presses gently against his neck. He no longer hides his emotions. He tells Bai to finish him off, to either kill him or torture him if that is what he wants. Hong believes that Bai has always looked down on him. He feels like a joke in front of someone who never respected him. Bai does not deny it. He calmly admits that it is true. He did look down on Hong, but then he adds something unexpected. He says he does not hate Hong that much. That reply catches Hong off guard. He expected cruelty, but instead he hears a strange kind of respect. Bai explains that he admires his courage. The fact that Hong came to face him alone, without backup, without setting traps, proves that this was more than a petty fight. Bai understands that Hong simply wanted to measure his own limits. That intention deserves recognition. But Hong's pride refuses to be comforted. He shouts again, this time louder. He tells Bai to kill him now, or risk being killed later. He says Bai should stop pretending he can understand someone like him. He does not want to be seen through. That final burst of rage forces Bai to pause, and after a moment, Bai changes his mind. He takes back what he said earlier. Now he admits that he might actually hate Hong more than he realized. In the distance, Specs and Chi-Yin arrive at the scene. They hide carefully and observe without making a sound. Specs holds the giant axe he took from the school armory, but he does not need it now. They both feel surprised to see Bai sitting calmly on top of Hong Quangsheng, as if the fight had already ended long ago. Hong lies flat, not moving, not resisting. The difference in power between them is too obvious. Bai then speaks again, but this time, his tone changes. He tells Hong that he has something to offer. It is not a threat, but a proposal. He says there is a way for Hong to grow stronger. There is a path forward, but in exchange, Bai needs something from him. Time passes quickly, and a new day begins. The calendar shows Friday, the official assessment day for the students. Everyone gathers early in the schoolyard. Nervous energy fills the air. Teacher John stands at the front. He addresses the entire group, reminding them that today is not an ordinary test. This is the combat simulation, a key part of their academic progress. Teacher John explains that the word simulation does not mean it will be fake or easy. The students will enter real labyrinths with real dangers. Although most of the labyrinth's power has been sealed to keep the risk level low, there are still threats inside. Teacher John warns them to act according to their skill level. Monsters live inside those labyrinths, and any mistake could lead to serious consequences. To reduce the danger, the school has assigned high school seniors as guides. These older students will not participate in any combat unless needed. Their job is to ensure safety and step in if something goes wrong. Each team will consist of 4 to 5 students, and every group will be led by one senior. The students are told to choose between E-class and F-class dungeons. The E-class dungeons are far more difficult and only suitable for those with high strength and confidence. Teacher John reminds them of the risks. Failing the challenge will result in a loss of academic credits. That means this assessment affects their future directly. Nobody can afford to treat it lightly. After giving the full explanation, Teacher John asks the students to raise their hands if they wish to challenge the E-class dungeons. For a few seconds, no one moves. Then slowly, A few hands rise in the crowd. Among them are Qi Yin and Hong Guangsheng. Both stand confidently, showing no signs of fear. Specs watches them from the crowd. He feels a mix of surprise and admiration. He never thought that some students would be brave enough to pick the more dangerous option. Out of 180 students, only 8 have stepped forward. Teacher John announces that the rest will be randomly assigned to the F-class dungeons. The tension in the air softens a little. Qi Yin keeps scanning the group. She realizes something important. Bai Yi has not moved. He has not raised his hand for either dungeon. That silence feels strange coming from someone like him. Before she can think more about it, Bai Yi steps out of the group and walks toward Teacher John. Without hesitation, he says he wants to challenge the school's D-class Spirit Jade dungeon. The words carry across the schoolyard like a shockwave. Teacher John stares at Bai Yi with a completely speechless expression, finding the student's request beyond reasonable. Among the crowd of stunned students, Hong Guangsheng and the class president Qi Yin look on with equal disbelief, their eyes wide with surprise. The teacher quickly collects himself and tells Bai Yi he must be making a joke. He states firmly that no student challenges a D-class dungeon right away, especially not during their first combat simulation. He refuses the request outright, considering it too dangerous for a middle school student. However, Bai Yi's intense gaze and unwavering posture show he is completely serious about his decision. Just then, Dean Hongliang of the Junior High Division steps forward to address the situation. He explains in clear terms that D-class dungeons are very dangerous places, normally reserved for high school students who have reached D-class rank or higher. He emphasizes the real risks involved, including powerful monsters and complex challenges that could overwhelm inexperienced awakeners. Bai Yi remains unfazed by this warning. He counters the dean's argument by pointing out that the combat simulation rules officially allow students to choose their own dungeon level. He continues his argument by stating the school's main purpose is to find exceptional talent for the Divine Guild. He explains that the criteria for such talent include both bravery and strength. He then asks the dean if he really intends to deny him the chance to demonstrate those very qualities the guild values most. Dean Hongliang finds himself cornered by Bai Yi's logical argument. He gives in slightly but immediately presents a new problem. He states that all dungeons must be entered as a team according to school safety regulations. Bai Yi immediately replies that he can handle the dungeon alone. This response angers the dean, who declares that solo entry is strictly forbidden by school rules to ensure student safety. Just as the situation reaches a complete stalemate, Qi Yin raises her hand confidently from among the students. She announces she will also choose the D-class dungeon. Dean Hongliang becomes clearly agitated by this development. He questions Qi Yin's decision, wondering if she has lost her mind. He expresses concern about how he would face her father if she got into serious trouble during the challenge. Qi Yin stands her ground against the dean's concerns. She explains that she also wants the highest possible score and feels eager to test her abilities against a real challenge. With a confident wink, she turns to Bai Yi and offers to team up with him. To her complete shock, Bai Yi bluntly refuses her offer. He states clearly that he plans to clear the dungeon by himself without any assistance. Before Qi Yin can react to this second rejection, Teacher John steps in between them. He places a hand on both their heads in a calming gesture. He states that Bai Yi's refusal is invalid under school policy, forcing them to form a team. Dean Hongliang sighs in deep frustration but reluctantly agrees to this arrangement. He mutters quietly about how arrogant the new students have become this year. The teacher then points out another significant problem. With their team having only 2 people attempting a dangerous D-class dungeon, it seems unlikely any senior students would volunteer to supervise them. Just then, a hand shoots up from the group of seniors, and a charismatic young man steps forward with a charming smile. He declares that the flowers of the motherland always need someone to protect them, showing his willingness to help. The teacher's expression immediately turns to relief at this development. He tells the volunteer that with him present, he can finally rest easy about the situation. Qi Yin, now standing next to Bai Yi, recognizes the senior who volunteered. She tells Bai Yi his name is Xiling and mentions he almost joined the prestigious ultimate school team, which is quite an honor. Xiling approaches them with a confident smirk. Unimpressed, and wondering who he and his ultimate school team are, Bai Yi simply says he's never heard of them. This comment amuses Xiling greatly, who thinks to himself that Bai Yi is just an ignorant peacock, eager to show off without understanding his actual limits. With the final team now ready, the teacher addresses all the students gathered for the event. He announces officially that all teams are assigned and the combat simulation is beginning immediately. He creates a large glowing red portal that serves as the dungeon entrance. He explains that their progress inside the dungeons will be live-streamed by professional drones monitoring their every move. With a final word of encouragement, he urges all participants to do their best and see who will achieve the highest score in this important assessment. The Awakened Academy occupies the grounds of a massive demon cave that was conquered long ago. Over many years, this original cave generated numerous smaller portals throughout the school property. These smaller dungeons have power levels ranging from F class to D class. Both junior high and high school divisions use these spaces for training purposes. Now, the day of the combat simulation has arrived, and students begin entering their assigned dungeon portals in groups. Specs, along with his teammate, steps into the entrance of their F-class dungeon. At the same time, another group prepares for a higher challenge. Bai, Chi-yin, and their senior guide named Zilling enter the D-class Spirit Jade dungeon. A small drone floats beside them, sent to record and broadcast their every movement during the mission. This footage will be shown live to students and staff throughout the academy. Bai knows he is being watched. The presence of the drone makes that clear, but he also senses deeper attention. He believes that higher forces, possibly the gods themselves, may be observing the simulation. Because of this, he keeps his behavior under control. They materialize inside the dungeon and find themselves standing on the edge of a steep cliff. The area around them is dark and filled with heavy forest growth. Zilling moves confidently between the two students. He smiles and assures them they do not need to worry. He promises to keep them safe and shares stories about clearing even unsealed D-class dungeons in the past. He claims he once fought alongside other powerful awakeners and implies that this dungeon will be no problem. Their group begins walking deeper into the dense forest. Chi-yin walks beside Zilling and asks what kind of monsters usually live inside D-class dungeon. Zilling explains that the strength of monsters here typically ranges from E to D. Zilling says high-level E-class monsters can be extremely dangerous. Their speed and attack power can overwhelm unprepared students. He reminds both Chi-yin and Bai that they are still considered newcomers. Even in a sealed dungeon, they are not safe if they act carelessly. Chi-yin listens carefully and nods her head, showing that she understands the danger. Zilling then focuses his attention more on Chi-yin. He speaks gently and promises to help her find weaker monsters so she can earn points. He repeats that he will not let anything harm her. While speaking, he glances around and notices that Bai has already walked far ahead of them. A green glow surrounds Bai's body, flickering like a quiet flame. Zilling stops mid-sentence and frowns. He seems confused by Bai's actions. He raises his voice and warns Bai not to move too far forward. He tells him that wandering off might trigger the appearance of a strong monster. The warning goes unanswered for a moment. Then Bai turns around with a calm face. He responds sharply, saying that Zilling is being too noisy. Zilling stands frozen, unable to reply. Bai tells Zilling clearly that there is no need for protection. He instructs the senior student to stay out of the way. With those words, he walks forward again, taking the lead without hesitation. Zilling and Chi-yin remain behind, watching in silence as Bai moves deeper into the forest. Neither of them speaks. Neither of them follows just yet. The camera drone records everything. This begins the official broadcast of the year's combat simulation. At the academy, many students and staff gather around large display screens. These monitors show live feeds of different teams as they explore their assigned dungeons. The footage catches every movement, every decision, and every moment of danger. Meanwhile, in a private room labeled Ultimate School Team, a young man with green hair, the team's vice captain, is watching the live stream of the assessment on his phone. With a playful grin, he calls out to someone else in the room. A woman is sitting further away, her face hidden in the shadows. She does not respond right away. The vice captain calls her captain and tells her to watch the live stream. He says something unusual is happening this year. A junior student has chosen to enter the D-class dungeon, something rarely seen. The moment feels special. The captain asks, without moving, what profession the student awakened with. The vice captain smiles and says this is the most interesting part. The student has awakened into one of the worst possible professions. A dust rank, nuclear warrior. The captain finally turns slightly, showing a faint outline of interest. She says that now she is curious. She wants to see for herself what kind of student has the nerve to challenge such a dangerous place with such a poor starting point. The combat simulation continues across various dungeons within the Awakened Academy grounds. In the sealed F-class dungeon, Specs is participating with his team, and right now, he is feeling overwhelming panic as monsters approach, his body trembling with fear. He waves a tambourine frantically, using it to provide support buffs from a safe distance, while his teammates engage in close combat with F-class flame bats and fierce bats. Their movements swift and coordinated despite the chaos. A senior student supervising the team notices Specs' distress and advises him to remain calm. The senior reminds him that his role is to offer support from behind, not to engage directly. Specs, however, continues to express panic, stating that even the lowest level F-class monsters appear frightening to him. Meanwhile, in the sealed E-class dungeon, the threat is on another level entirely. Packs of fierce fangs, wolf-like beasts that crackle with elemental energy, prowl the cavern. Here, Hong Quangxing's team is visibly struggling. Several members are already wounded and lying on the ground. A healer moves between them, checking their condition and offering reassurance. Hong, fueled by his rivalry with Bai Yi, declares that he will handle the beasts alone if necessary. He charges at a fierce fang with intense determination, shouting about his goal to surpass Bai Yi. A red status window appears as he strikes, indicating a skill that boosts his strength, critical hit rate, and life steal. Back to the sealed D-class dungeon, Bai Yi, Qi Yin, and Xiling continue their exploration. Bai Yi has just unleashed a powerful attack, a green slash of energy that cuts through the air with precision. He stands calmly amidst the bloody corpses of several fierce beasts. System notifications confirm his kills, each monster granting him 30 experience points. Xiling and Qi Yin watch from a distance with expressions of disbelief. Qi Yin stammers in surprise, asking how Bai Yi managed to do that. Before Bai Yi can respond, a new threat emerges. Two massive multi-eyed spider monsters crawl toward them, their multiple eyes glowing with menace. Bai Yi remains unfazed by the appearance of the spiders. He explains to Kai Yin that the monsters in this dungeon are sealed, operating at only half their original power. This reduction in strength makes them less difficult to handle, though still dangerous. Qi Yin, still in awe, observes Bai Yi wielding the large Kunwu blade from his father's safe. She argues that even at half strength, battling multiple opponents at once is impressive. She admits that she has a long way to go before reaching his level of skill. Bai Yi turns to her with a calm and focused expression, advising her not to compare herself to others. He encourages her to concentrate on improving her own abilities instead. Qi Yin smiles brightly at his words, feeling motivated. She clutches her spellbook tightly, declaring that she will do her best to succeed. Xiling, however, watches from the side with a scowl. He feels irritated that Bai Yi is stealing the spotlight and disregarding his authority. Xiling steps forward, attempting to reassert control. He reminds Bai Yi that this is a D-class dungeon and warns him against overconfidence. Patting Bai Yi's hair condescendingly, Xiling acknowledges that his performance is good for a first-timer, but emphasizes that the dungeon has 3 caverns and will not be easy. Bai Yi interrupts Xiling without pause and instructs Qi Yin to deal with monsters from the right side, while he will take the left path himself. The deliberate snub is too much for Xiling to bear. Feeling utterly ignored, a wave of rage washes over him, twisting into an evil grin, and he decides it's time to take some action. They are now standing in a large cavern filled with the bodies of defeated beasts, and before them, the path splits into 2 tunnels, and a massive glowing red magical seal pulses at the far end of the cavern. Bai Yi asks Qi Yin if she can handle the lower-level monsters on the right path by herself. He explains that the simulation's purpose is to test individual abilities, and she needs to prove her own strength. He adds that achieving a good score should be her motivation. Qi Yin declares that she understands and can handle the task. With the plan set, Bai Yi walks down the left path alone. Qi Yin and Xiling take the right path, with Qi Yin watching Bai Yi's back as he departs. Xiling, on the other hand, curses under his breath. He decides that if Bai Yi will not learn respect easily, he must be taught a lesson the hard way. Then in a flash of golden light, Xiling summons a glowing bow, his intentions turning clearly malicious. Back in the academy viewing room, teachers and students watch Bai Yi's live feed with amazement. Images from the drone footage show him defeating many E-class monsters alone. One of them expresses that the number of beasts Bai Yi has defeated is incredible. A teacher asks about his current level, and another replies that his official report still shows E1, though his true level remains unclear. The group guesses he must have reached at least E3 or possibly E4 by now. He explains, and that's not all. Bai Yi's decision to send Qi Yin to the right path was not random. He had intelligently observed the elemental matchups, sending the flower element user Qi Yin to face stellar element monsters, giving her a natural advantage. Listening to all this, Teacher John recalls Bai Yi's promise not to disappoint him and smiles with pride, realizing the student was not just boasting. He watches the screen with interest, wondering what else Bai Yi will do. Back in the dungeon, Bai Yi reflects that he had indeed noticed earlier that the stellar-type beasts were mostly coming from the right-hand cave, and knowing they were lower level, and that Qi Yin had the elemental advantage, he determined it was the perfect challenge for her. Right now, following her path, Qi Yin finds herself facing a massive beetle-like monster with glowing purple marking. The creature charges at her fiercely, but she reacts quickly and slams her hand to the ground, casting a spell. In an instant, thick, thorny vines shoot up from the earth, wrapping around the monster and holding it in place. Without wasting another second, Chi-Yin prepares her next attack. She commands the thorny vines to tighten further. The creature falls defeated. A system notification confirms her successful kill of the E-Class Starbug and awards her 30 experience points. Chi-Yin clenches her fist in triumph, her face lighting up with pride at her accomplishment. From the other side, Bai watches her progress. He notes that mages, even at the E-Class level, already possess their basic class skills. In Chi-Yin's case, it is the ability to create a poisonous wall using plants, a skill known as Vine Wall. Bai feels genuinely impressed. For her first time in a dungeon, she remains very calm while facing monsters stronger than herself. She also demonstrates tactical sense by using her wall skill not just for defense, but to trap the monster and create a smaller kill zone. He concludes that she definitely possesses natural talent for combat. Having confirmed she can handle her side, Bai turns his full attention to the massive glowing red seal at the end of his cavern. Flames of 5 different elements flicker around it, and he realizes the dungeon's sealed D-class monsters must be behind it. With Chi-Yin handling the beasts on her path, he feels free to focus on his more dangerous goal. But while he approaches the seal, he reconsiders his strategy. He feels confident about achieving a high score while hiding his true strength. But with the drones broadcasting his every move, he knows he must carefully plan his next step. Meanwhile, Xiling is furious as he cannot believe the nerves of these juniors who completely ignore his authority. He decides that if they feel so confident, he will show them a real challenge. He spots another magical seal at the end of a cavern on Qin-Yin's side. In an instant, he appears behind Qi-Yin, and drawing his golden bow, he aims not at a monster, but at the seal in front of that cavern. With a malicious grin, he declares they should try this and unleashes a bright arrow of light. The arrow strikes the earth with explosive force, narrowly missing Qi-Yin but blasting the seal of the cavern. Qi-Yin spins around, confused by the sudden attack. Xiling pretends to be innocent and casually asks why she dodged, claiming he was just trying to help by adding a buff. But from the new pit, a menacing growl echoes, and the glowing shape of a massive creature emerges, and before Qi-Yin can react, a ferocious 2-headed lion leaps from the chasm, charging at her with terrifying speed. Right then, a system window identifies the beast as a level 11 D-class twin-headed violent lion. The sudden emergence of the twin-headed lion leaves Qi-Yin frozen in sheer terror. Its demonic energy radiates outwards in a palpable wave, and Bai senses this dangerous surge immediately. He spins around to focus on the commotion. Right on cue, the twin-headed lion roars, its body erupting into fierce flames. Reacting on pure instinct, Qi-Yin throws her hands forward, desperately attempting to restrain the beast with her thorny vines. However, the lion's fire proves too strong and easily burns through and snaps the vines apart. With the obstruction gone, the beast lunges toward her, its massive jaws wide open and ready to devour her completely. Qi-Yin stands paralyzed, convinced that her end has come. From a safe distance, Xiling watches the scene with a cruel grin, drawing his bow once more as if to escalate the chaos. But just as the lion is about to strike, Bai activates his Accelerate skill. A notification confirms a temporary 50% increase in his speed. He shoots forward in a blur and intercepts the fiery beast mid-lunge. This sudden move catches Xiling completely by surprise. In a split second, Bai pushes Qi-Yin out of the way and maximizes his speed. He uses the flash blink effect, phasing through the lion's attack and lands a powerful blow directly on its head. The strike is so strong it forces the massive creature backward. Bai lands smoothly. Now standing in a defensive position between the stunned Qi-Yin and the monster, his blade held ready. He feels surprised by the incredible speed of this D-class monster, realizing the fight will be challenging. Xiling watches the chaos with a twisted grin. He reflects he knows this dungeon inside and out, aware that while most D-class monsters remain sealed, one unsealed twin-headed lion always spawns. He gloats inwardly, convinced that no matter how arrogant these rookies are, they stand no chance against a true D-class monster. Plus, the lion has been enhanced by his own skills. A glowing red status window appears over the enraged beast, confirming this. The lion is buffed by the light arrow Xiling threw earlier, with its gravity reduced and its damage and speed massively increased. Xiling mentally refers to it as the fastest twin-headed lion. Another status window shows the lion is also in a berserk state, granting it an additional 10% attack boost and 50% speed boost. Facing this impossibly strong foe, Bai's expression turns grim. He clutches the Kunwu blade, wondering if he will be forced to reveal his full strength to survive. He turns to Qi-Yin and tells her to retreat to a safe distance, explaining this as a monster she cannot handle. Qi-Yin looks on with frustration and anger at herself, cursing her earlier hesitation. Right then, the massive flame-covered twin-headed lion leaps into the air, hurtling directly toward Bai and Qi Yin. Just as Bai Yi prepares to fight it alone, Qi Yin's expression fills with fierce determination. She thrusts her hand forward and shouts the words for her spell, Vine Wall. Instantly, thick thorny vines erupt from the ground, catching the lion in midair and wrapping tightly around its body. Qi Yin does not stop there, and she pours more power into her spell to create another layer. Still not done, she unleashes a triple-layered vine wall, completely trapping the fiery beast and temporarily halting its attack. Bai watches. Surprised by her sudden burst of power, Qi Yin turns to him and asks him to join the fight, promising she will not be a burden. She states firmly that even though it is a D-class monster, she wants to face it with him. From the sidelines, Zilling watches in disbelief, thinking the girl must have lost her mind after nearly being eaten moments earlier. On the other hand, a slight smile appears on Bai Yi's lips as he notes how quickly she recovered her courage. He admits he expected her to remain paralyzed with fear for much longer. Qi Yin responds with newfound confidence, declaring that she has worked too hard to let herself be defeated here. Bai and Qi Yin stand together, facing the restrained D-class monster. Qi Yin turns to Bai with a confident smile, expressing her complete trust in him. She states firmly that with him as her protector, she feels certain of her survival. Bai, ever practical, quickly cautions her about her depleted energy reserves. He reminds her that creating the triple-layered vine wall consumed much of her power, leaving her with limited energy for the fight ahead. Qi Yin simply acknowledges this limitation with a nod of understanding. This brief exchange triggers a memory in Bai Yi's mind from his past life, and he recalls Qi Yin as a standout student during their middle school days. He remembers a younger Qi Yin confidently introducing herself to their entire class, declaring her dream to join the Divine Guild and become a divine priest. She remained consistently confident, genuinely optimistic, and kind to everyone around her. Even though she came from a powerful and influential family, she always maintained a friendly demeanor and fulfilled her duties responsibly as class president. Bai Yi had lost contact with her in his original timeline, assuming she had lived an ordinary life, but in this new timeline, he feels absolutely certain about one thing: she is someone he can trust completely. So, now, with a reliable partner fighting beside him, Bai Yi feels confident about passing the assessment without revealing his true power level. However, from a distance, Xiling watches their cooperation with clear disdain. He mentally sneers at their display of teamwork, considering them fools for believing they can handle the enhanced beast. He calculates that the vine wall will only hold for a few more seconds at most. He believes real combat demands more than mere confidence. Feeling certain their limited strength stands no chance against the D-class monster he personally enhanced. A cruel smirk forms on his face as he decides to wait and watch them fail, as his plan is to let them struggle until they become desperate enough to beg for his help, at which point he will step in and teach them a harsh lesson about respecting their seniors. Right then, the twin-headed lion releases a final earth-shaking roar and shatters the restraining vines with a powerful surge of energy. With the enraged beast now completely free, Bai quickly devises a new strategy. He tells Qi Yin he will act as bait and will lure the nuclear-type twin-headed lion to water. He instructs her to watch carefully and wait for the perfect moment to attack. Qi Yin immediately understands his plan and prepares herself. They separate with coordinated shouts, successfully baiting the fiery lion into a reckless charge. Bai knows the beast's anger focuses entirely on him since he caused its injury. He deliberately leads the enraged creature toward a large body of water at the cavern's edge. Without any hesitation, he dives into the water, and the lion, blinded by pure fury, plunges in right behind him. Beneath the water's surface, Bai uses his incredible speed to maneuver around the now clumsy and waterlogged beast. He finds the perfect opening as the lion struggles in the unfamiliar aquatic environment and shouts at Qi Yin that the moment has come. Responding instantly to his signal, Qi Yin casts her vine wall spell with perfect timing. Just as the lion emerges from the water, the soaking wet beast finds itself completely trapped by fresh, thorny vines. It roars in frustration, but its power appears significantly reduced underwater. On the other hand, Qi Yin commands the vines to constrict tightly around the monster. Their plan works perfectly because the water has neutralized the lion's fiery abilities and disrupted its nuclear core. System notifications confirm the lion's berserk and nuclear states have failed, leaving it poisoned and completely unable to break free. Bai emerges from the water and lands gracefully on the shore beside Qi Yin. He confidently holds his blade in a ready position and declares that the beast cannot escape anymore, and now is the time for them to finish the test and claim the highest possible score. From his hidden spot, Zilling watches all this with complete disbelief on his face. He finds it impossible to understand how a single layer of vines could trap such a powerful twin-headed lion. He remembers enhancing the beast's abilities and knows he would have struggled to fight it himself. He can only stare in frustration and mutter curses under his breath. Meanwhile, back in the viewing room, the teachers and staff members analyze the brilliant strategy used by the students. One instructor explains the simple logic behind their actions. By luring the nuclear-type lion into the water, they neutralized its core skills while strengthening Chi-Yin's flower-type abilities. Teacher John praises Bai for his excellent reactions and leadership, noting how he used basic elemental counters and teamwork to defeat a much stronger monster. The staff concludes that the top ranking is now decided, with only the final blow remaining. They excitedly discuss how, once the video footage is submitted to the guild, Bai has a real chance of achieving the highest score in the Academy's history. However, just as they await the finishing move, the live feed suddenly cuts to black. The viewers are left confused, wondering why the broadcast would stop at such a critical moment. Back in the dungeon, the reason for the blackout becomes clear. The recording drone lies shattered and smoking on the ground, and Xiling stands nearby with a cruel smirk on his face, holding a glowing energy bow. He thinks to himself that without any video evidence, Bai can forget about obtaining the highest score. Meanwhile, Bai and Chi-Yin are standing by the water body, and a system notification confirms their victory over the level 11 D-class twin-headed main lion, awarding them 100 experience points. Bai compliments Chi-Yin, stating that their success was thanks to her abilities. She modestly replies that she only succeeded because she followed his instructions. However, Bai corrects her, explaining that her own dedicated training had built up enough elemental resistance, which allowed her to use a single skill so powerfully. Chi-Yin looks at him with a puzzled expression, repeating the term elemental resistance as if she is hearing it for the first time. Just then, Xiling comes out from his hiding place, looking very resented. He talks down to them, saying they should stop talking and leave now that the boss is dead. Bai and Chi-Yin both turn to look at him with cold faces that show they are not impressed. Xiling tells them he is tired of their behavior during his watch. Bai faces him directly and asks if he knows how much danger he put them in by sending a strong D-class monster after new student. Xiling turns away and tries to make excuses, saying he only meant to help Chi-Yin, but she moved away from his shot. Bai stops him right there, saying Xiling must be very bad at aiming if he could not hit his target. Bai stares hard at him and asks how he can call himself an archer when he cannot aim properly. Chi-Yin, now just as mad, joins in and says this explains why he never made it into the ultimate school team. Very angry at their words, Xiling spins around with his energy bow glowing hot. He demands to know what they just said to him. Without moving back, Bai steps in front of Chi-Yin, ready to stop any attack. Faced with their strong resistance, Xiling's anger slowly turns to bitterness. He lowers his hand and quietly says the road ahead is still long. He turns his back on them and gives a final warning, telling them to just wait, before marching quickly toward the dungeon exit. After Xiling leaves, Bai and Chi-Yin walk over to the broken drone that Xiling destroyed. Chi-Yin, still upset, says their senior has a very bad attitude. She then sees Bai looking closely at the broken machine and asks what he is doing. Bai explains that their supervisor broke the camera to stop them from getting a good score. Bai thinks about their current situation. With the camera broken, no one can watch what they do, and after Xiling left, he would need to get a new entry permit to come back inside. Plus, all the other students are also busy in their own dungeons far away from them. This means they have plenty of time completely alone. Then, a small, knowing smile then appears on Bai's face. He tells Chi-Yin that Xiling has actually helped them without realizing it. He explains that this situation gives him the perfect chance to do what he had really planned all along. Chi-Yin can only look at him with wide, surprised eyes full of confusion. She asks him what he means by that and what he is planning to do next. Bai leads Chi-Yin back to the main cave area. They stop in front of the large, glowing red seal that contains the dungeon's most powerful monsters. He turns to face her and asks if she can promise to keep what happens next a complete secret. He adds that even if she did tell anyone, nobody would believe her story anyway. Chi-Yin feels both confused and worried by his words. She stumbles over her question, her voice uncertain as she asks what exactly he is planning to do. Just then, a flashback shows back to the alleyway fight between Bai and Hong Guangsheng. Their deal is revealed. Bai promised to help Hong Guangsheng grow stronger. In return, Bai demanded a specific payment, the unsealing demon stone that belonged to Hong Guangsheng's uncle, the Academy Dean. Back in the present, that very stone now rests in Bai's hand. It is a shimmering crystal covered in strange, glowing symbols. He finally reveals his true and daring plan. He intends to use this powerful stone to break all the seals on the Spirit Jade dungeon before them. Without hesitation, he places the crystal onto the central altar in the cavern. The moment the stone touches the altar, a powerful dark red energy erupts from it. This dangerous energy immediately begins to swirl violently around Bai Yi. Chi-yin panics, screaming that he cannot do that. She reminds him that it is a D-class dungeon, and if he breaks the seal, all the high-level monsters will be released at once. But the warning comes too late. The dark energy intensifies, and Bai Yi calmly tells her not to worry, explaining that the monster's power will still be partly suppressed by the seal's remaining energy. Chi-yin is still not convinced, arguing that even so, there is no way the two of them can handle that many D-class monsters. Bai Yi states calmly that it will not take two people as he alone is enough. And the next instant, the red string bracelet on his wrist begins to glow, and a powerful fiery red aura erupts around him. Chi-yin can only stare, stammering in utter shock as she witnesses the impossible. Bai Yi stands before her, no longer appearing as a warrior, but as a mage, holding a glowing staff and surrounded by magical energy. She could not believe her eyes and is startled, wondering how Bai Yi could possibly be a mage. Bai Yi immediately tells a surprised Chi-yin to move back toward the exit for her own safety. The moment the words leave his mouth, the magical chains holding the captive beast shatter with a loud, crashing sound. 3 ferocious lions, their bodies covered in roaring flames, break free from their broken restraints. The freed monsters charge directly toward Bai Yi and Chi-yin with terrifying speed. A terrified Chi-yin shouts for Bai Yi to be careful, her hand reaching out instinctively as if she could somehow shield him from the danger. Bai Yi, however, remains completely calm. He stands his ground and faces the approaching beasts without any sign of fear. He raises his staff firmly and begins to summon cloud elemental power. A glowing system notification appears, confirming he has now switched to his E-class cloud element mage profession. With a look of pure determination on his face, Bai Yi unleashes his spell, and a powerful wave of icy energy erupts from his staff, swirling around the 3 charging beasts. Chi-yin watches in utter disbelief, her mind struggling to process what she is seeing. She realizes Bai Yi possesses a red profession, which signifies a very high and rare rank. She thinks about how incredibly difficult it was for her to control just one of these lions. Yet Bai Yi is effortlessly controlling all 3 at the same time, completely freezing them solid inside a massive, glistening block of ice. The two of them look at the trapped beasts for a moment. Bai Yi explains that after being sealed away for so long, it was natural for all the monsters to emerge at once the seal was broken. He then adds that he will need more space for what he plans to do next. Understanding her role perfectly, Chi-yin clenches her fists in a gesture of agreement and quickly retreats to a much safer distance. Right then, a new wave of sleek, D-rank, fierce flame leopard pours out of the cavern. They release fiery aura as they charge forward, their eyes glowing with a menacing red light. One of them towers over Bai Yi. Without flinching, Bai Yi confronts the enormous beast head-on. He quickly assesses the situation, noting that although the monsters are D-class, their strength has been reduced by half from being sealed for so long. Still in his mage form, he again uses his flash freeze skill, a technique that turns moisture in the air into solid ice and freezes the fierce flame leopards. He thinks to himself that his first priority is to restrain all of them. Just then, he notices a giant shadow of a beast and decides it is time to change tactics. A system notification appears, and he switches his profession back to nuclear warrior, preparing for a direct assault. Right on cue, a D-class fire saber-toothed tiger lunges at him, but Bai Yi dodges it easily. With a confident smirk, he internally mocks the beast for attempting a sneak attack on him. The fire saber-tooth charges again, but Bai Yi activates a skill, disappearing in a flash of green energy while the monster strikes where he once stood. Then, in a brilliant display of power, he instantly reappears, having switched back to his cloud element mage profession. He holds his staff ready to cast another flash freeze spell, and the next instant, the fire saber-tooth is completely encased in jagged, cracked ice. Watching from a safe distance, Chi-yin is utterly stunned, wondering how he can switch between professions so freely. Seeing him fight now, she finally understands why he insisted on training in the element room. He was practicing his elemental resistance all along. She reflects on her own magic, remembering she used to believe strength came from raw power and frequent spell casting. But now after watching Bai Yi's masterful display, she understands that true strength lies in controlling one's power perfectly. Chi-yin reflects on the nature of elemental power, understanding that it flows from nature itself, wild and untamed. She now realizes a crucial truth that only by gaining absolute control over this power can an awakened person unlock its deeper potential and access more versatile, powerful techniques. She watches Bai with a sense of awe as Bai manipulates the ice he created, turning a basic skill into a weapon and launching sharp shards at the trapped beasts. A spark of understanding and determination glows in her eyes, as she realizes that true mastery is not about having many skills but about perfecting the ones you have. Bai has demonstrated that even a single, fundamental skill can be pushed to its absolute limit. Already, he has achieved a level of control so thorough that he can command the battlefield with just the basics. Meanwhile, Bai stands calmly before the frozen horde. Shi Yin lowers her head deep in thought. She clenches her fist tightly, feeling a shadow of doubt and inadequacy fall over her face. She thinks to herself that Bai has already progressed far beyond all the other students, leaving them far behind in terms of skill and power. However, as she continues to reflect on his incredible abilities, her initial look of despair gradually softens. It transforms into a gentle, blushing smile. She admits internally that he is incredibly cool and impressive. Just then, the ground begins to tremble violently from a series of massive, thundering footsteps that echo through the cavern. From the deepest, darkest depths of the cave, the dungeon's true final boss emerges. This is the Spirit Jade Demon Cave Lord, a colossal D-class fierce mammoth with glowing red eyes and a dark, menacing aura that fills the space around it. A status window pops up, confirming its level and noting that its attributes are halved because it remains in a partially sealed state. While any other student would feel terrified at the sight of such a monstrous creature, Bai looks on with intense, glowing eyes, completely unfazed by its appearance. He thinks to himself that the beast has finally appeared, revealing he had been expecting and waiting for this moment all along. The mammoth lets out a deafening roar that shakes the very walls of the cave. It charges forward with immense force, leaping over the ice constructs that still hold the other defeated monsters trapped. In response, Bai is surrounded by a swirl of vibrant green energy as he switches back to his nuclear warrior class. He declares internally that the very thing he needs is on this beast, focusing on his objective. The massive creature barrels toward him with overwhelming speed and power. In a stunning display of agility and strength, Bai leaps high into the air, avoiding the mammoth's initial charge. He delivers a precise, powerful strike to a vital point on the mammoth's forehead, landing a critical hit that draws blood immediately. He drives his glowing green dagger deep into the mammoth's tough hide, causing the colossal beast to recoil in pain and now bleed from several wounds. With a grim expression and blood splattered on his face, Bai internally notes that this sealed level 15 mammoth is actually weaker than the level 10 monkey boss he fought before, giving him confidence in his abilities. Roaring in agony, the wounded mammoth thrashes its massive head wildly and charges at Bai in a blind fury. Its powerful stomps crack the ground beneath it, sending shockwaves through the cavern. Undeterred, Bai moves with incredible speed, dodging each attack effortlessly. He unleashes a relentless series of strikes, landing multiple critical hits on the beast's vital points with precision and skill. Overwhelmed by the relentless assault, the mammoth finally stumbles, its massive body beginning to fall as it loses balance. Sensing victory within reach, Bai decides to give it his all. He activates his title, 1 against 100, and right then, his eye begins to glow with a brilliant golden light, and he is suddenly surrounded by a powerful fiery aura that radiates intense heat. He then unleashes his ultimate skill, Sanctuary, and in an instant, a massive horizontal wave of golden energy erupts from him, sweeping through the entire cavern and engulfing the mammoth and every other monster in its path. The colossal mammoth can only roar in terror as the overwhelming power washes over it, unable to resist. The golden wave of energy from Bai's ultimate attack proves incredibly powerful. It does not just strike the final boss mammoth. The energy also washes over all the other monsters still frozen in his ice constructs. Every single beast is instantly killed by the overwhelming force. A flood of system notifications immediately appears before him. These messages confirm the defeat of many D-class monsters. The list includes the twin-headed lions, the fierce flame leopards, and the fire sword beasts. Each monster he killed gives him hundreds of experience points. The points add up very quickly into a large total. The final and most important notification confirms the defeat of the level 15 D-class fierce mammoth. This powerful boss grants him a massive reward of 1,000 experience points. He also loots valuable materials from the bodies of the fallen creatures. Among the loot are fiery beast bones. The most important find is a high-grade material called the King's Fang. This special item is used for crafting a powerful C-rank nuclear weapon. Now, standing in the dungeon that is now cleared and silent, Bai holds the crescent-shaped King's Fang in his hand. He takes a moment to savor this victory. He checks his personal status screen. That displays a significant increase in experience across all his elemental bars. Astonishingly, his flower, cloud, nuclear, and stellar elements have all grown stronger. With his objective seemingly complete, he casually dismisses the golden energy with a flick of his wrist and turns to leave, but just as he walks away, he glances down and notices a peculiar item left behind where the mammoth's body vanished. It is a pink yin-yang shaped stone that glows softly. A system notification identifies the item as the resonant jade stones, a pair of jade stones with a special function. Staring at the precious object, Bai Yi thinks to himself that he has finally obtained it, revealing this was his true goal for unsealing the dungeon all along, a secret he had kept to himself until now. Bai Yi receives a flood of system rewards. Notifications confirm his massive increase in power, as his nuclear warrior class is now D class level 13, and his cloud element mage class has reached D class level 11. While checking his new stats and holding the resonant jade stones, he feels surprised that even his mage profession has advanced significantly, and moreover, his 1 against 100 title has also upgraded to one-man army. This new title gives him a 20% boost to all his attributes and a 10% life steal effect whenever he fights alone. Qi Yin approaches him quietly through the cavern surrounded by the bodies of the defeated monsters. She is still trying to understand the incredible power she just saw Bai Yi use. Bai Yi walks over to her and says her name. With a very serious look on his face, he reminds her of her promise to keep everything she witnessed a complete secret. A surprised Qi Yin can only make a confused sound in response. Just then, a notification appears, showing that she has also leveled up from the experience, reaching E-class level 7 inches her flower element mage profession. Back at the academy, the huge energy surge from the broken seal has caused panic among the staff. The teachers, including Teacher John, are seen running quickly down the hallways. The teacher exclaims they have never detected an energy surge this powerful before, and as they rush toward the dungeon entrance, they meet Xiling, who is walking calmly in the opposite direction. Teacher John confronts him, demanding to know why he is not inside the dungeon protecting the junior students. Before Xiling can give an answer, Teacher John shouts that the dungeon seal has been broken and they have no time to talk. He and the other staff members push past a shocked Xiling, hurrying to manage the crisis. Left alone in the hallway, Xiling's fake look of shock melts away. It is replaced by a twisted, malicious grin. He starts to laugh quietly, thinking to himself that payback has arrived much sooner than he expected. Within minutes, the teachers burst into the dungeon cavern, shouting the names of Bai Yi and Qi Yin with great worry. They stop suddenly when they find the two students standing perfectly safe and unharmed. Teacher John can only stammer in confusion. Bai Yi calmly greets him and asks why they have all come. The bewildered teacher looks past them toward the main seal at the back of the cavern, which appears completely intact and untouched. He wonders out loud if the monitoring equipment had reported a false error. However, relieved that the students are safe, they relax. Later, on Friday, May 29th, right before the end of the school day, Xiling meets with the green-haired vice-captain of the ultimate school team. With a smug grin, Xiling asks if the materials he submitted are finally enough to secure the last open spot on the team. The vice-captain, however, gives a slight smile and apologizes. He informs Xiling that their team captain has already chosen someone else for the position. Xiling is stunned and filled with anger. He demands to know who was picked over him. He grabs the vice-captain, yelling that the spot was supposed to go to the most valuable person. He questions whether his own strength and family background were not good enough. Just then, a woman's voice from the doorway states that they have already found the most valuable person. The next moment, a confident woman with brown hair approaches them with a smirk. She is the famous Ling Yue, the captain of the team, a golden electro-element assassin of an unknown level. She comments that the student named Bai Yi is very interesting, revealing that he is the one who has captured her attention and earned the spot. It is Friday evening, May 29th, and at an outdoor noodle stand, investigator Cheng Jinwoo is sitting with Bai Yi's father, Bai Lingsheng. Cheng Jinwoo, who is smoking, warns Bai Lingsheng not to cause any more trouble. He reminds Bai Lingsheng that he worked very hard to get him released from prison early. While eating his noodles, Bai Lingsheng casually says he understands, though his expression quickly darkens into a resentful glare. Cheng Jinwoo then leans in closer. He informs Bai Lingsheng that he has heard Chief Hong will be arriving next Friday and asks if Bai Lingsheng understands what that means. Bai Lingsheng simply tells him not to worry. Just then, Cheng Jinwoo's phone rings with a call from his superior. Annoyed, Cheng Jinwoo gets up to leave. He tells Bai Lingsheng he is heading back to the team and that Bai Lingsheng should also go home soon. Watching him walk away, Bai Lingsheng agrees that he will of course be going home soon. Still, he continues to eat, while his face twists into a mask of pure rage and his eyes glow red with menace. Bai Lingsheng returns to his old apartment and finds it completely empty. This discovery makes him even angrier. He shouts loudly, demanding to know where his wife and son have gone. In a fit of rage, he kicks a stool across the room, screaming curses and furious that they would dare to hide from him. His anger grows even stronger as he swears that if he finds them, he will kill them both. He emphasizes this threat by punching a mirror and shattering it into pieces. Meanwhile, in the safety of their new apartment, Bai Yi gives his mother Ruyan the resonant jade stones he obtained from the dungeon. He presents one stone set in a necklace, telling her she must wear it at all times. With a calm smile, he shows her that he keeps the other matching stone. Bai Yi explains the special power of the stones. If she is ever in any danger, she only needs to crush her stone. He will immediately sense it and can teleport to her side instantly. He takes her hands in his and admits he could not feel peaceful about leaving her alone without this protection. As his mother holds the necklace, Bai Yi feels sad thinking about her life. He reflects that she has never owned nice jewelry or experienced the simple pleasures a woman deserves. His mother, worried about him, gently suggests that he should not spend his entire weekend watching over her. She encourages him to go out and enjoy time with friends his own age. Bai Yi smiles and tells her not to worry, saying he has no interest in such things. His answer does not comfort her. Instead, she looks concerned and insists that every person needs friends and important people in their lives. Her words make him stop and become quiet. He turns away, thinking deeply about her question regarding important people. His thoughts travel back to his previous life, and an image of his old Divine Core teammates appears in his mind. He sees Ling Yue, Han Xiaoling, and Lucian clearly. A deep sadness fills him as he wonders if he will ever get to meet them again in this new timeline. Later that night at 11:58 p.m., Bai Yi stands before a wild D-class demon cave. He thinks to himself that with the resonant jade stones now protecting his mother, he can finally stop worrying about her safety. This is another hidden demon cave he remembers from his past life, one that opens for only 1 hour each night between midnight and 1:11, giving him very limited time. With his mother secure, he can now focus completely on becoming stronger. Holding his dagger ready, he steps decisively into the demonic portal. As he enters, his mind flashes back to his previous life. He remembers that even after becoming a top-tier warrior powerful enough to face the D-class blood flowers in this cave, he was still completely helpless to save his team. The painful memory of watching his comrades die returns vividly. His mother's words about needing friends echo in his mind, but the memory of betrayal makes him bitterly reject the idea. He channels his pain into action, leaping forward to strike down one of the monstrous plant-like creatures. With a quick series of cuts, he defeats the blood flower. A system notification confirms the kill, awarding him 260 experience points and 3 blood flower petals. As he collects the loot, he defiantly dismisses the need for friends, thinking they only brought him suffering in the end. Bai Yi reflects on how useless his past efforts were. He realizes that no matter how strong he became, if the gods willed it, he and his team were doomed. He uses this frustration to fuel his fighting, dodging a powerful attack from one of the larger creatures with a burst of speed that cracks the ground. He remembers how despite all their power, they were left with nothing, not even a proper grave. This anger helps him deliver a swift critical strike against the monster. Another notification confirms his kill and the experience gained, strengthening his belief. He must become more powerful. He pushes himself to move faster, weaving through a group of demonic tendrils. He grits his teeth, determined to become stronger than everyone else, even as several creatures bite him. Despite the pain, his eyes remain sharp and full of determination. He launches a furious counterattack, a whirlwind of slashes that destroys the surrounding monsters. With kill notifications flashing quickly, he stands bloodied and wounded with a monster's tentacle between his teeth. He resolves that he must fight with his very life on the line, collecting corpse toxin from his kills. His thoughts turn to his current weakness. He realizes he is still too weak to even defeat his own father, Bai Lingsheng. He then considers the greater threats waiting for him, like the talented traitor from his past life. Wiping blood from his mouth, he comes to a serious understanding. He knows there are no shortcuts or easy paths available to him. He must stand his ground and face every single enemy without running away. With this renewed determination, he stands firm before a seemingly endless crowd of monsters, ready to fight his way through every one of them. Bai Yi stands before the overwhelming horde of demonic monsters, ready to unleash his full power against them. He activates his ultimate skill, Sanctuary, swinging his dagger with incredible force. A devastating wave of golden energy erupts from his blade, engulfing all the creatures as they roar in pain. The powerful attack instantly destroys the entire swarm of monsters. A flood of system notifications appears, confirming his kills and awarding him hundreds of experience points for each defeated Bloodflower and Corpse Orchid. After the immense attack, Bai Yi lands on the ground, his body still covered in golden flames. He pants heavily from the effort, feeling bloodied but determined. He glances at the time and realizes the demon cave entrance will close in only 20 minutes. Looking across the now cleared area, his eyes lock onto the dungeon's leader. He knows he must hurry to defeat the boss before time runs out. On Saturday, May 30th, at 12:39 a.m., Bai Yi stands before the final boss of the dungeon. It is a massive wood-like creature surrounded by a powerful green aura. He holds his weapon ready and mentally declares that it is the monster's turn to face him. To his surprise, the boss does not react as expected. Instead, it leaps away with incredible speed, disappearing in a blur of green light. The creature, a level 20 D-class lord named He Awakens, reappears and launches a fierce attack. This forces a surprised Bai Yi to dodge quickly. Recovering quickly, Bai Yi swings his own weapon in a powerful counterattack. He cleanly slices off one of the monster's arms. However, his victory is brief. The boss remains calm and gathers green energy in its remaining hand. It activates a self-healing skill. Bai Yi watches in shock as the severed arm completely regenerates in just seconds. He finds it hard to believe the creature's incredible regenerative ability. Before he can process this, He Awakens slams its fist into the ground. This causes many sharp vine-like tendrils to erupt from the earth. Despite the boss's regeneration and the erupting tendrils, Bai Yi turns to face the creature with a calm expression. However, his confidence shatters when the bloodflower monsters he had defeated begin to rise from the ground. They roar back to life. He watches in disbelief as the resurrected beasts charge toward him. He wonders how they could be standing again. He knows a D-class lord should not be able to resurrect its minions. This strange development puts him on edge. While his attention is focused on the charging horde, a shadowy, whip-like attack lashes out from his blind spot. His eyes widen in shock as the attack hits him. It pierces clean through his side, causing a spray of blood. The force of the blow sends him stumbling backward, still impaled by the dark tendril. As he struggles, he realizes the horrifying truth. A second almost identical lord has appeared. A system notification identifies this new monster as He Awakens, the twin brother of He Awakens. Both are level 20 D-class lords. Bai Yi grits his teeth in pain, realizing he is facing two bosses at once. The two twin lords now stand together. He Awakens, the green one, is fully recovered, and He Awakens, the purple one, is the one who just ambushed him. Faced with this impossible situation, bloodied and cornered, Bai Yi's expression hardens. His eyes glow with fierce, unyielding determination. Trapped inside the hidden dungeon, Bai Yi's time runs out. At 12:59 a.m. on Saturday, the demonic portal begins to destabilize. A moment later, at 1 a.m., the entrance to the demon cave slams shut. This leaves him trapped inside with no way out. Later that day, on Saturday, May 30th, at 6 p.m., a heavy rainstorm rages outside. Inside the new apartment, Bai Yi's mother Ruin paces anxiously. She stares out the window with worry. She fears because she has not seen her son all day. He has not responded to her messages or calls. Fearing he has gone to a dangerous place again, she decides she must go and find him. She leaves the apartment and heads out into the stormy night. A menacing figure has been waiting outside. The source is revealed to be Bai Lingsheng. He drops empty liquor bottles on the wet pavement. He stands soaked in the rain, consumed by fury. He mutters about how they dared to rent a new apartment without his knowledge. As lightning flashes, he stares up at the building with contempt. He mentally notes that they found a nice place. His face is a mask of pure, unhinged rage. His eyes glow with malice. Meanwhile, Bai Yi's mother Ruyan passes through the building's security gate and steps outside. She suddenly freezes. A sense of dread washes over her as she clutches the resonant jade stone's necklace around her neck. Her eyes widen in terror as she realizes she is in grave danger. Back in the sealed demon cave, Bai Yi feels completely exhausted but continues to fight. He pants heavily, gripping his large blade tightly. He thinks that this is already the fifth wave of monsters he has faced. No matter how many times he cuts them down, the creatures just keep getting back up. When another resurrected bloodflower attacks him, he slashes through it without hesitation. The system notifications now show he is gaining only a single experience point for each kill. He quickly understands that killing these same monsters over and over is a waste of energy. It gives him almost no experience and no useful items. With this new understanding, he concludes that he must find and destroy the source of their endless regeneration. His eyes turn toward the two glowing D-class lords, He Awakens and He Awakens, identifying them as the core of the problem. The regenerative power flowing into the lesser monsters is coming from the bosses themselves. Adopting a new strategy, Bai Yi ignores the resurrected horde completely. He becomes a blur of motion, speeding past the lesser monsters to charge directly at one of the twin lords, Si Wuming. His goal is to end the battle by striking at the source. With intense focus, Bai Yi zeroes in on his target. He lunges forward and drives his blade deep into Si Wuming's body, landing several powerful stabs that make the monster crack and almost shatter. However, his attack proves useless. He watches as the Lord's wounds seal up and its body regenerates completely in a bright flash of green light. He realizes the main problem. The other twin lord, He Wuming, is channeling a healing ability that constantly restores its brother. Bai Yi remembers that the other twin also healed instantly, even after he had cut off its arm. He notes how this overpowered ability is beyond what even an S-class healer could achieve. This makes him wonder what the true source of their power could be, questioning if they are drawing healing energy from something hidden in the cave. Before he can think further, one of the lords vanishes and reappears right beside him to deliver a powerful strike. Using his vast combat experience, Bai Yi perfectly blocks the punch with his parry skill, nullifying all the damage. He immediately follows this defense with a powerful counterattack, slashing upwards at the creature. As he lands the counter, Bai Yi notices something strange and alarming. The boss has begun to learn and copy his own combat moves. After his counterattack, Bai Yi faces the twin lord He Wuming. To his great surprise, the monster speaks, stating that Bai Yi is very strong. The other twin, Si Wuming, appears, and both bosses ready themselves for a new phase of the fight. However, Bai Yi's expression changes as he notices something crucial. His gaze fixes on a point beyond the bosses, and he thinks to himself that he has finally found the answer. A confident smirk spreads across his face as his weapon begins to glow. He realizes that in a flower-type demon cave like this one, the massive, glowing trees are the true energy center. Ignoring the boss in front of him, he rushes towards one of the large glowing trees in the background. As he passes the surprised boss, he swiftly slices off its arm. He now understands the boss's incredible healing is only possible because of the power flowing from these enchanted trees. The boss looks down in shock at its severed limb, which for the first time is not regenerating, and cries out in disbelief. Bai Yi's new strategy becomes clear. He must cut the boss's connection to their power source by destroying the enchanted trees. He unleashes a powerful slash that cuts clean through the massive trunk. Bai Yi knows that once their power source is gone, he will finally be able to kill them for good. With his new strategy clear, Bai Yi rushes past the twin lords, He Wuming and Si Wuming, heading straight for the enchanted trees that serve as their power source. Before the bosses can stop him, a system notification announces that Bai Yi has switched to his Cloud Element Mage profession. He raises his staff high and summons a powerful ice spell, unleashing a massive wave of cold energy that instantly freezes both D-class lords solid, trapping them in place. With the bosses temporarily neutralized, Bai Yi lands on the ground and immediately switches back to his nuclear warrior class. This action confirms his guess was correct. He realizes that with the bosses frozen and their connection to the power source broken, their minions would lose all ability to heal and resurrect. Just as he predicted, the resurrected blood flowers and corpse orchids around him begin to wither, falling apart and dying for the final time. Now that the twin lords are powerless, Bai Yi drives his blade directly through the icy prison, shattering the frozen body of He Wuming. A system notification confirms he has successfully killed the level 20 D-class lord. This victory earns him 2,500 experience points and a high-grade item called White Spirit Grass, which can instantly restore half his stamina and heal most physical wounds. With one twin lord defeated, the other, Si Wuming, breaks free from the remaining ice that was holding it. Bai Yi, despite his many wounds, stands firm with a green aura swirling around him. He points his dagger at the final boss, declaring internally that only it remains. The massive creature looks down at him with a surprisingly sad expression. Surrounded by fading flames, Si Wuming makes an unexpected request, mentally pleading for Bai Yi to end its life. Bai Yi feels surprised, thinking he has never encountered a dungeon lord like this before. He understands that with its brother gone, the creature no longer wishes to live alone. Respecting its final wish, Bai Yi decides to grant the request. He leaps forward with incredible speed and delivers a single, powerful strike that slices the D-class lord clean in half. As the monster dies, another notification confirms he has successfully killed the level 20 lord Si Wuming and gained another 2,500 experience points. He also obtains a high-grade material called a poison thorn, which is needed for forging a powerful S-class flower-type weapon. Holding the glowing purple item, Bai Yi lets out a long breath of relief. His efforts are further rewarded as a final notification announces that his nuclear warrior class has advanced to D class level 15. Another message confirms that his cloud element mage class has also advanced to D class level 13. With the final boss dead, the red entrance to the demon cave reopens, allowing him to leave at last. However, before he can exit, a new status screen appears. It shows his flower element bar is now completely full. This fullness triggers another awakening process. Bai looks surprised at this development. Realizing his flower element has maxed out, he becomes surrounded by a swirl of glowing green energy and colorful petals. He wonders what kind of profession he will awaken this time. He recalls his last awakening granted him a powerful red profession and smiles slightly, anticipating what comes next. A new notification appears, revealing his new class as a level 1 E-class flower element summoner. His excitement immediately turns to shock and disappointment as he realizes it is only a blue profession, a much lower tier than he had hoped for. After a moment, he composes himself, thinking that the summoner class does not have high stat requirements and wondering what its main skills might be. A skill description window then appears, detailing his new abilities. His active skill is Flower Spirit Contract, which lets him form a contract with the soul of a defeated flower-type demon, forcing it to serve him. The passive skill, Flower Field, lets him see the souls of recently deceased flower-type demons. Bai's interest grows as he reads the description, particularly the part about making a contract with a demon's soul. Realizing the potential of his new skill, Bai wonders if he can form a contract with the two powerful bosses he just defeated. With his Flower Field passive skill now active, he turns and sees the glowing blue souls of the twin lords, Yi Wuming and Si Wuming, hovering over their remains. With a determined expression, Bai decides to seize this unexpected opportunity. A notification appears, confirming he is activating the Flower Spirit Contract skill. He reaches his hand out towards the two souls and with a confident smirk, mentally commands them to come to him. In a brilliant swirl of blue energy, the souls of the twin lords are pulled towards him and reform into their powerful physical forms, now bound to serve him as his new summons. Meanwhile, on the stormy Saturday evening at 6 p.m., Bai Lingsheng stands outside the apartment building, completely soaked by the heavy rain. He holds a knife in his hand, his eyes filled with intense rage as he plans to harm his family. Just as he prepares to act, his phone rings loudly, interrupting his violent intentions. He feels annoyed but answers the call. He is surprised to hear Inspector Cheng Jinwoo on the other end. The inspector offers him an incredible opportunity, an invitation to a dinner hosted by Dean Hong Liang. This event could be his chance to rejoin the guild and restore his status. Bai Lingsheng feels elated by this news. He promises Cheng Jinwoo that he will seize this opportunity and not waste it. After ending the call, a wicked and triumphant grin spreads across his face. He declares to himself that it is a good day after all. With his revenge plans now postponed, he decides to go find his wife, Ruyun. His menacing intent still clear as he walks away from the building. At the same time, Bai Yi's mother Ruyun has left the apartment to search for her son. She stands outside in the pouring rain, feeling a deep sense of dread washing over her. She clutches the resonant jade stones necklace around her neck for comfort. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out to her. She turns to see Bai holding an umbrella and carrying groceries. He asks her why she came downstairs in such bad weather. Startled at first, she feels visibly relieved to see him safe and unharmed. He smiles gently and suggests they should go back home together. Later, inside their new apartment, Ruyun looks at a beautiful new bracelet that Bai has given her. She thinks about how her son told her he went out late just to get her this gift. A sad and knowing look crosses her face. She realizes that even though she cannot speak, she is still aware of the dangers he faces for her sake. Back in his room, Bai lies on his bed thinking about his current situation. He reflects on the three professions he now possesses. He has a green tier nuclear warrior, a blue tier flower element summoner, and a powerful red tier cloud element mage. A detailed status screen appears in his mind, showing that his two main combat classes, the mage and the warrior, have both reached D class, while his new summoner class remains at E class. Despite this progress, he knows it is still not enough to feel secure. His thoughts then turn to his father, Bai Lingsheng. He calculates that it has been 10 days since his father was imprisoned, meaning only 5 days are left of the sentence. However, knowing his father's violent nature, Bai suspects he might be released early. This is a possibility he must prepare for urgently. The next day, on Sunday morning, Bai's resolve hardens. Surrounded by a swirling red aura, he decides that hiding is not a solution. He must face the problem with his father directly, and resolve it completely before he can continue his journey to grow stronger. Driven by this urgency, Bai spends the entire day pushing his limits. A series of system notifications confirms he has conquered 4 hidden demon caves in rapid succession, 3 E-class and 1 D-class. By Sunday afternoon, he stands before another, more dangerous D-class, hidden demon cave with an unknown threat level. Knowing he cannot afford to rest and must reach class as fast as possible, he enters without any hesitation. By Sunday night, he emerges victorious from the cave. A red aura still radiates from him as a notification confirms the D-class cave has been cleared. He has leveled up again and thinks that the next time he meets his father, he will be the stronger one. As he stands there, he senses something new and looks around, feeling puzzled. A new notification appears, announcing he has earned the title Lone Brave for clearing 10 demon caves of a level equal to or greater than his own. This title grants him the Mark of the Brave and hints at unlocking a Tower of the Brave in the future. Bai just only stares at the message, wondering what this new development means for his path ahead. On Monday morning, June 1st, the awakened academy buzzes with anticipation as teacher Huang stands before her class. She shares exciting news with the students about the combat simulation results. She informs them that 2 of their classmates, Bai Yi and Qi Yin, have achieved the highest scores in the entire school. Teacher Huang adds with pride that after a detailed review of his performance, Bai Yi has earned the highest score in the academy's history. This announcement leaves Qi Yin blushing with happiness, while Bai Yi remains calm and serious despite the achievement. Teacher Huang continues by explaining that due to their outstanding results, both students have qualified for a prestigious training camp. She then reveals an even greater reward for Bai Yi. Because of his record-breaking score, he will also receive a rare opportunity to have an audience with the gods. The rest of the class reacts with shock and amazement to this news. One student expresses disbelief, pointing out that meeting the gods is a tremendous honor that even high-ranking priests might never experience. For Bai Yi, this development feels like an unexpected bonus. He sees it as a chance to encounter the group of gods who betrayed him in his past life much sooner than he anticipated. His middle school friend becomes emotionally overwhelmed and grabs his arm dramatically, begging him not to forget his old friends once he becomes famous. In contrast, Specs looks at Bai Yi with a proud and genuine smile, telling him that he always knew Bai Yi was destined for greatness. Meanwhile, Dean Hongliang summons his nephew, Hong Quangsheng, in his office. There, Dean Hongliang questions his nephew about his refusal to attend the upcoming training camp. He points out his Hong Quangsheng's finally back for a visit, and he could totally use the excuse of going to headquarters with him to tag along on this training journey. Hong Quangsheng clenches his fist tightly, clearly showing his internal struggle and conflict about the situation. He firmly states that he only achieved 3rd place in the combat simulation. Because of this ranking, he does not feel he has properly earned the right to participate in the special camp. He explains that he has grown tired of people assuming he relies entirely on his father's influence and reputation. He expresses a strong desire to prove his own personal worth through his own achievements. Dean Hongliang appears genuinely impressed by his nephew's display of newfound pride and independence. He comments that Hong Quangsheng has shown considerable backbone with this decision. The dean adds that he hopes Hong Quangsheng's father will recognize and appreciate this significant personal growth in his son. Seizing this moment of approval, Hong Quangsheng makes a bold and unexpected request. He asks his uncle for special permission to access the sealed D-class demon cave located in the school's restricted back mountains. Dean Hongliang immediately frowns in clear surprise at this dangerous and unusual request. With fierce determination evident in his voice, Hong Quangsheng declares that he wants to become stronger through his own efforts and challenges, not through special privileges or family connections. Simultaneously, in the principal's office, Xiling is desperately pleading with his uncle, Principal Zi Yunqing. Xiling insists repeatedly that he must be allowed to go on the training trip. He claims he has to go as he is the sole heir to their family. Principal Zi Yunqing, known as a stern and disciplined man, calmly scolds his nephew for acting so impulsively. He reminds Xiling that he should understand the heavy weight and responsibility of his family's legacy and stop acting so impulsively. Then, with a serious look, he confronts Xiling about a serious matter. He directly addresses the incident where Xiling empowered a monster to attack junior students during the recent combat simulation. Caught completely in his lie, Xiling can only stammer helplessly. He fails to form any proper excuse for his dangerous actions. The principal slams his hand hard on the desk, showing his intense anger. He shouts that the higher-ups in the administration are not fools who can be easily deceived. They saw through Xiling's clumsy scheme without difficulty. He reveals that his personal intervention represents the only reason Xiling was not immediately expelled from the academy for this serious offense. The principal's intimidating presence makes Xiling tremble visibly with fear. Overwhelmed by this direct confrontation and the weight of his actions, Xiling collapses to his knees on the office floor. He tearfully apologizes to his uncle and admits that he was completely wrong in his behavior. With his eyes glowing in a menacing way, the principal orders the terrified Xiling to stand up immediately. While Xiling struggles to regain his footing, Principal Ziyunqing walks slowly around his desk. He delivers a final piece of crucial information to his nephew. He tells Xiling that his reckless actions have created an unintended consequence that affects someone else. These actions brought a special individual named Bai to the direct attention of the higher-ups in the administration. The principal reveals that those in power now view Bai with suspicion and are closely monitoring his activities because of the incident Xiling caused. Principal Ziyunqing explains the current situation in detail. He mentions that Bai's rapid growth and exceptional performance have drawn attention from the higher-ups, making them suspicious. This suspicion has led to an unusual development where the gods themselves have requested a personal meeting with Bai. After outlining these high stakes, the principal decides to grant Xiling's earlier request. He allows Xiling to join the training trip but emphasizes that he must improve his behavior and act more discreetly during the journey. Principal Ziyunqing issues a stern warning, stating that if Xiling causes any further trouble, he will not be able to protect him from the consequences. Xiling feels overjoyed upon hearing this decision, his face lighting up with a broad grin as he eagerly agrees to his uncle's terms. However, as he exits the office, his expression shifts to a malicious one. He clenches his fist tightly and internally vows that Bai should be prepared for revenge during the trip. His thoughts then drift to Lingyue, and with a sinister look, he promises himself that he will win her over sooner or later, no matter what it takes. Later that Monday afternoon, just before school ends, the classroom fills with excited chatter and energy. Bai's friend holds up a golden envelope, revealing with disbelief that it contains an official invitation from the ultimate school team. The letter formally invites Bai to join their ranks, an honor that sends a wave of shock through the entire class. The students explain among themselves that this team is the most powerful and prestigious in the academy, serving as a direct pathway into the Divine Guild. Another student adds that the team was founded by Lingyue, the only golden electro-element assassin the school has produced in years. Everyone expresses amazement, noting that people usually have to fight desperately for a chance to join, yet Bai received a direct invitation. They find it unheard of for the high school team to recruit a middle school student, making the situation even more remarkable. Overwhelmed by Bai's incredible success, his friend becomes emotional and tears up, expressing how outstanding Bai is. Amid the chaos, Bai calmly walks over and takes the golden invitation from his distressed friend. To the absolute shock of everyone in the room, he then moves to a nearby trash can and casually discards the invitation inside. His friend and the other students shout in disbelief, calling him foolish for rejecting such a prestigious opportunity. Unfazed by their outrage, Bai simply states that he is leaving and walks out of the classroom. This leaves his classmates, including Specs, completely stunned and silent. Later, Bai's friend crouches by the trash can, staring at the discarded letter and feeling deep regret over the wasted opportunity. However, Specs approaches him with a knowing expression, suggesting that he might not fully understand Bai's nature yet. With quiet confidence, Specs explains that the Bai of today does not join others. He is someone who will only ever be a leader, destined to forge his own path. After leaving the classroom, Bai makes his way to the secluded back mountain of the school. He thinks that with permission to access the D-Class Demon Cave, the area will be deserted at night, providing the perfect private training ground. It turns out that Hong Guangsheng is already there, waiting for him, surrounded by a determined red aura. Bai, also emitting a similar aura, simply indicates that it is time to enter the cave. As Bai begins to caution Hong Guangsheng about the potential difficulties of a D-Class dungeon, Hong angrily interrupts him. He insists that he does not want to hear any nonsense and emphasizes that he will not be a burden to their mission. Bai internally recalls their agreement from earlier. He had promised to teach Hong Guangsheng combat skills and a method to grow stronger quickly. In return, Hong needed to secure access to the school's demon caves. Bai feels surprised that Hong managed to obtain permission for all the D-Class dungeons, showing his determination. Inside the cave, the difference in their abilities becomes immediately clear. Bai effortlessly slices through a massive dragon-like beast with precision and ease. Meanwhile, Hong Guangsheng is quickly knocked to the ground by a monster's attack, cursing in frustration due to his struggles. Standing over another defeated creature with a green aura surrounding him, Bai casually offers help to the struggling Hong. Full of pride, Hong responds furiously, telling Bai to leave him alone and asserting that he can handle the situation on his own without any assistance. The intensive training inside the school's D-Class Demon Cave continues without pause. Hong Guangsheng, fueled by his fierce determination, leaps into battle against the monstrous creatures that swarm the cavern. He attacks with all his strength, though the beasts prove challenging for him. Meanwhile, Bai moves through the dungeon with ease, his mind reflecting on his recent achievements. He thinks about the lone brave title he earned and the mysterious Tower of the Brave it promises to unlock in the future. He knows this tower remains inaccessible until he reaches the class rank, which motivates him to push harder. Bai realizes he has already cleared most of the hidden wild demon caves he remembered from his past life. This makes the school's sanctioned dungeons his only reliable method for gaining experience quickly. The days blend into a cycle of constant combat and progression. By Tuesday, the golden invitation from the ultimate school team remains discarded in the classroom trash can, a clear sign of Bai's single-minded focus on his own path. He understands that leveling up at the D-class rank requires a massive amount of experience, making the process much slower and more demanding than before. The grinding training persists into Wednesday after school. Inside the cave, Hong Guangsheng faces another roaring beast that charges at him with full force. As the monster lunges, Bai is compelled to intervene swiftly to prevent serious injury. He delivers a powerful kick that sends the creature stumbling backward, saving Hong from a dangerous situation. This action sparks anger in Hong, who immediately expresses his frustration at Bai for stepping in. He reminds Bai sharply that he had insisted on no help during his fights. Bai responds calmly, pointing out that Hong would have been killed without the intervention. Despite the friction between them, Bai feels satisfied with their progress, noting that the experience they have gathered should be sufficient for his upcoming plans. By Thursday after school, the relentless training finally yields significant results. Hong Guangsheng emerges from the demon cave with a cheer of triumph. He proudly announces that he has reached the D-class rank entirely through his own efforts, without any assistance from his family's bodyguards. He finds this achievement far more thrilling and meaningful than any escorted training from the past. Moments later, Bai exits the cave as well, his expression calm and composed. A system notification appears, confirming his own major achievement. His nuclear warrior class has successfully advanced to class, marking a significant milestone in his journey. With a determined look in his eyes, Bai knows he is now ready for his next challenge. A menacing image of his father, Bai Lingsheng, forms in his mind, and he feels confident that his current power level is enough to deal with him effectively. A status window displays his new class statistics and confirms he has acquired a new skill, adding to his growing arsenal. Later that evening, Bai returns home to his mother, Ruyun. She notices his frequent late returns and teasingly asks if he has been spending time with a cute girl on date. Bai becomes flustered by her suggestion and denies it firmly, insisting he is just a middle schooler with other priorities. His mother continues with a warm smile, suggesting that it is normal for someone his age to have a girl he likes. She advises him gently to be brave and pursue the people he cares about, warning him not to wait until the opportunity slips away and leaves him filled with regret. Her words strike a deep chord within Bai, causing him to widen his eyes in realization. He falls into a thoughtful silence, his mind drifting to a specific girl from his past life whom he cared about deeply. This triggers a flashback to his previous timeline, where he remembers his teammate Ling Yue vividly. In the memory, she playfully asks him for a hug, addressing him as captain. He recalls bluntly pushing her away at that time, which clearly annoyed her. The memory then shifts to the aftermath of a fierce battle, with the ground littered with defeated monsters. A tired but triumphant Ling Yue lies on the ground, happily exclaiming that they have won once again. The younger Bai from that era, also worn out from combat, simply tells her it is time to leave. Still exhausted, Ling Yue playfully requests if he could carry her back. A flustered Bai flatly refuses, telling her to seek help from another teammate instead, leaving her to pout about how mean he was acting. However, these happy memories are brutally shattered by the traumatic event of their team's betrayal. The scene turns dark and bloody as he remembers Ling Yue's final moments, her body covered in severe wounds as she dies. The image of his own face twisted in pure rage and powerlessness burns brightly in his mind, a painful reminder of his failure to protect them. Pulled back to the present, Bai reflects on this painful past with a heavy heart. He recalls that he only met Ling Yue in his previous life after his master rescued him from death row. Their first encounter took place in the capital city. He has no idea where she might be located in this new timeline. He sadly concludes that it will be very difficult for them to meet again naturally under these completely changed circumstances. He resigns himself to the disappointing reality that in this second life, he only has his memories to hold on to. Even if they were to meet by some chance, he knows their relationship could never be the same as it once was. The different paths they have taken, and the changed context of their lives would make their past connection impossible to recreate. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the vice captain of the ultimate school team reports to his captain about Bai Yi's status. He informs her that Bai Yi has still not responded to their invitation. He concludes from this silence that Bai Yi must not be interested in joining their team. The captain is none other than Ling Yui, the very girl Bai Yi lost in his past life. Right now, she is sitting in her bed holding the very golden invitation that Bai Yi had discarded earlier. She finds his complete lack of interest both puzzling and strangely amusing. She thinks to herself that this mysterious student is becoming more intriguing with each passing day. She decides she will take matters into her own hands personally and plans to meet him face to face the next day to deliver the invitation once again. She feels determined to understand this enigmatic student better and uncover the reasons behind his unusual behavior. On Friday, which is also his birthday, Bai Yi sits at the table in his home with a gift box placed in front of him. His mother Ruin sits across from him, wearing a warm smile as she indicates the box as his birthday present. Feeling slightly surprised, Bai Yi opens the gift to find a scarf inside. He feels puzzled about receiving a scarf since summer is just beginning. Along with the scarf, there is a note with a heartfelt message wishing her dear son eternal happiness and encouraging him to bravely live the life he chooses. Suddenly, his eyes widen with realization. He asks his mother if she knew he would be traveling to the Shanghai nation soon. She smiles gently and confirms she is aware of his plans. She explains that the temperature difference between day and night is significant there, so he needs to take care of himself. She also assures him she will take good care of herself while he is away. Bai Yi feels deeply moved, understanding that his mother has known about his activities all along and has been silently supporting him without interference. Then, his mother hands him some money with a bright smile. She suggests that since it is his birthday, he should treat his best friends to a meal together. Bai Yi sighs with a faint smile, and gently reminds her, as if he had mentioned it before, that he does not have any friends in the usual sense. Later that day at school, Bai Yi is approached by his two middle school friends. The first friend enthusiastically gives him a flashy figurine of a blue-haired water mage, proudly stating it is his favorite model and asking if Bai Yi finds it cool. Looking unimpressed, Bai Yi offers a flat and simple thank you in response. Seeing this, Specs steps forward and tells the other friend his gift is pathetic, urging him to look at his own present instead. Specs places a plainly wrapped rectangular object on Bai Yi's desk, mentioning it was not easy to obtain. As Bai Yi unwraps the gift, his eyes widen in shock. The present is the original soundtrack for his favorite old movie, Fatal Magic. This gift triggers a powerful memory from his past life. In that flashback, he and Specs would secretly watch banned prehistoric movies together, and this was one they particularly enjoyed sharing. Specs leans in conspiratorially, whispering to Bai Yi to hide the gift well so the teacher does not find it. Bai Yi carefully slides the precious item under his desk. He turns back to Specs with a genuine, warm smile and sincerely thanks him for the thoughtful present. Specs smiles back, sharing a moment of renewed bond between them. With this moment of friendship concluded, Chi-Yin approaches Bai Yi at his desk, calling out his name. With a bright, cheerful expression, she wishes him a happy birthday and offers him a gift box. His two friends watch from the background, their jaws dropping in shock as they realize what the gift contains. Inside the box, resting on a soft cloth, is a massive sparkling gemstone. A system window identifies it as a rare unappraised A-class mage weapon. Bai Yi himself looks taken aback by the extravagant nature of the gift. He pushes the box back toward her, stating he cannot accept it because it is far too valuable. Chi-Yin insists with a smile, explaining she would not have been able to join the training trip if not for his help. She casually adds that it is not a particularly precious item for her family, as they have many similar ones, and she knows it will be a great help to him in his journey. Bai Yi hesitates for a moment, his hand hovering over the box. After considering her words, his expression hardens with resolve. He concludes she is right, he needs to improve his abilities and has no reason to refuse such helpful support. He reflects that she must have noticed him using a low-level weapon when he switched to his mage profession during the simulation, and this gift is her thoughtful response to that observation. He thinks to himself that she is a very considerate person. Sitting alone at his desk with the three gifts, Bai Yi feels deeply touched by their kindness. He never expected any of them to remember his birthday, let alone prepare such thoughtful presents. This leads him to question his original plan to leave this place without forming any attachments or connections. In the background, his two friends whisper to each other, wondering when Bai Yi and Chi-Yin became so close. One of them even speculates that maybe Bai Yi is not interested in girls at all. Their gossip is cut short when Chi-Yin approaches them, asking what they are talking about, causing them both to jump in fright. While they are distracted, Bai Yi's internal thoughts reveal his initial intention to avoid entanglements. However, moved by their kindness, he changes his mind. He turns to face the three of them, Chi Yin, Specs, and his other friend, and invites them to have dinner with him that night. With a warm and genuine smile, he tells them it will be his treat and asks if they are free to join him. Bai Yi's friends erupt in loud cheers, enthusiastically accepting his dinner invitation. Chi Yin clasps her hands together in clear excitement, showing her joy. His two middle school friends throw their arms up in celebration, with one of them playfully suggesting he might choose the restaurant for their meal. Suddenly, their happy celebration ends when one friend notices a group of students from the high school division approaching. Bai Yi's expression turns serious immediately, and he wonders internally why they have come to his classroom. Another student points out that the group is moving directly toward their room, and Bai Yi watches their approach with a guarded and cautious look. The classroom quickly fills with whispers and murmurs from the students. One student peeking out the door informs the others that the captain of the ultimate school team has arrived personally. The other students feel shocked to hear this rumor, speculating that the captain has come to invite Bai Yi to join her team. Someone mentions hearing that the captain is a great beauty, though he has never seen her in person before. Hearing this, Bai Yi decides it would be better to refuse her offer face to face rather than avoid it. He stands up from his desk and walks out of the classroom, leaving his friends behind to watch. They think to themselves that this situation is going to become an interesting spectacle for everyone to see. News of this confrontation spreads rapidly through the school building. Students from all different classes gather on the balconies to watch what happens next. Among the crowd of onlookers is Xiling, standing with his own group of friends. He watches with a face twisted in pure rage, gritting his teeth in disgust. He mutters to himself, wondering why that stinking brat Bai Yi is worth so much trouble and attention. He continues to observe from the balcony, filled with resentment and a deep scowl. Unfazed by the growing crowd, Bai Yi walks confidently down the school hallway to meet the captain directly. Suddenly, a blinding flash of golden electric energy erupts in the hallway without warning. The powerful surge knocks several onlookers off their feet, and they cry out in confusion about what just happened. However, Bai Yi is not knocked back by the energy blast. He stands completely frozen, his eyes wide with utter shock and surprise. Golden sparks of lightning crackle around his face as he stares intently at the source of the energy. A look of disbelief and recognition spreads across his features. The hallway erupts into a chaotic surge of golden lightning, with Bai Yi standing as the calm center of the storm. A brilliant beam of electrical energy shoots directly toward him, but he remains poised and steady. His face appears shadowed and unreadable, even as the sheer force of the energy blast sends other students reeling backward. With his vast combat experience, Bai Yi instantly recognizes the direct assault as a feint, a mere distraction from the real attack. Reacting in a split second, he summons his own glowing green blade, ready to counter the unseen threat. Just as he prepares his defense, his senses scream a warning about the true danger approaching from behind. With incredible focus, he pinpoints the attack coming from his left rear side. He spins around just in time, blocking the lightning-fast strike with his own blade in a brilliant clash of energy. The onlookers who are still standing get blown away by the speed of the exchange, crying out in both confusion and amazement. The source of the attack is revealed to be a young woman, her entire form radiating a powerful golden aura. Her face is initially obscured by the light, but she is smiling confidently. As the light fades, Bai Yi peeks from behind a corner and his composure completely shatters. His eyes widen with disbelief and shock. The attacker steps back, retracting her energy. It is Lingyou, the captain of the ultimate school team, holding a blade that still crackles with residual lightning. She smirks at him, impressed by his skills, and mentally compliments his quick reflexes, stating she knew she had not chosen the wrong person. Bai Yi can only stare back, completely stunned and speechless. The person from his past life, the one he thought he might never meet again, is standing right in front of him in this new timeline. Staring at Lingyou, Bai Yi remembers his past life with her. He recalled her cheerful and playful nature from those days. She would often ask for hugs with a bright smile or teasingly request that he carry her after difficult battles. He also remembered with pain how he, being emotionally closed off, would always push her away. This left her to pout about how mean he acted toward her. Back in the present, Lingyue still crackles with golden lightning energy. She explains that since he did not respond to her team's invitations, she decided to visit him in person. The other students, including Bai Yi's friends, watch in stunned silence. Specs and his friend whisper nervously to each other, thinking how awkward it will be when Bai Yi rejects the famous captain directly to her face. Composing herself, Lingyue extends a hand for a formal introduction and begins to state her name. However, Bai Yi walks right past her outstretched hand. In one fluid motion, he pulls her into a firm and warm hug. The crowd becomes stunned into complete silence. From the doorway, Chi-yin stares in disbelief. On the balcony, Xiling's face twists with rage. Held in Bai Yi's embrace, Ling Yue looks up at him, her confidence replaced by surprise and a slight blush. Bai Yi looks down at her with a soft and sincere expression. He speaks a familiar name from their past and says softly that it has been a long time since they met. As Bai Yi holds Ling Yue, his two middle school friends react with shock. They shout in disbelief that he would hug her in public and wonder if this is a romance that crosses social classes. Specs corrects his friend, explaining that Ling Yue is not older than them. She was in their grade but skipped ahead to high school after awakening her powers early. In the background, Chi-yin continues to stare, looking completely dazed. Regaining her composure, Ling Yue breaks from the hug. She disappears in a flash of lightning and reappears beside Bai Yi, tapping his shoulder with a finger still crackling with energy. With a confident smirk, she asks if his surprising hug means he accepts her invitation to join the team. She continues her pitch, explaining the ultimate school team is fully funded with the best resources. She adds, they know faster ways to grow stronger than just clearing school dungeons and suggests they could fight together side by side. Bai Yi listens to her offer in silence. Then, looking at her directly, he gives his firm answer. He tells her he will not be joining the ultimate school team. He adds that since he does not plan on staying at the school for long, joining a club would be meaningless for him. After firmly rejecting her offer, Bai Yi extends his hand. He confidently tells Ling Yue that while he will not join her team, he plans to establish his own guild soon. He takes her hand in a firm handshake, assuring her with a determined smile that when that day comes, they will get the chance to fight side by side as equals. Their moment is interrupted by the vice captain, who runs up and asks why Ling Yue is there. He explains that someone named Hong Quangsheng has returned, and the principal has ordered their team to greet him. As she turns to leave, Ling Yue tells Bai Yi they will see each other again on the training trip. She gives him a final glance over her shoulder, promising a proper chat later. Then, before walking away, she pauses and asks why he said it has been a long time when they had never met before. Bai Yi offers no answer, standing silently with an unreadable expression as she goes. From a distance, Xiling watches the entire exchange, his face contorted in silent fury. As Ling Yue walks away, the students erupt in shocked whispers. They cannot believe Bai Yi rejected a personal invitation from the captain and dared to invite her to his own future guild. They question how it is possible, since he is not an adult and establishing a guild requires immense money and resources. While some dismiss it as a boast, others recall the rumor that he achieved the academy's highest score ever. One student keenly observes that Ling Yue never actually refused his bold counter-offer. Watching her leave, Bai Yi reflects on the turn of events. He admits he never imagined his reunion with Ling Yue would happen in this way. He remembers the rules of the Divine Corps from his past life. Members' personal information was kept confidential, and they never pried into each other's pasts. Because of this, he never knew Ling Yue had attended the same middle school as him. He realizes he almost missed the chance to meet her again in this new timeline. A small, genuine smile spreads across his face, and he concludes that this unexpected and wonderful reunion is a very pleasant birthday surprise for him. Later that evening, Bai Yi fulfills the promise he made to his friends. He brings them to a local barbecue restaurant called Old Wang's BBQ Shop. The group sits around a table loaded with sizzling plates of meat and vegetables. Chi-yin, Specs, and the other middle school friend all gather together with Bai Yi. The air fills with the rich smell of grilled food, and the soft sound of chatter mixes with the crackling of meat over hot coals. The restaurant's lively atmosphere makes the evening feel warm and comfortable. During the meal, Specs playfully mocks their friend for picking this restaurant. The friend laughs and defends himself by saying that Bai Yi had mentioned craving barbecue earlier, and based on that, he suggested this place. Soon, the conversation begins to shift. Specs uses the pause between bites to bring up something serious. He remembers Bai Yi talking about forming his own guild and wants to know whether that idea was just a passing comment or something real. He flips a piece of meat on the grill while asking. Chi-yin joins the discussion. She recalls that Bai Yi had mentioned he would not stay at the school much longer. She gently asks what he means by that, and whether he plans to leave before high school or transfer somewhere else. The question lingers in the air for a moment. Bai Yi stays calm. He picks up his drink and takes a slow sip. Then he responds with a clear voice. He confirms that he meant every word he said. After the next training trip, he plans to leave the school system completely. He says he intends to remain permanently in the Shenghen Nation. That statement shocks the others. Both Specs and Chi-yin widen their eyes in disbelief. They wonder if he is planning to drop out of school entirely, just to chase the dream of starting a guild. Bai Yi clears up the misunderstanding. He says he has no intention of quitting school. Instead, he will continue studying, but not here. He plans to apply for a place in the Shanghai Nation's Divine Guild Academy. His friends immediately understand what this means. The Divine Guild Academy is a prestigious institution, known for strict admission standards and producing elite awakeners. It becomes clear that Bai Yi's goal is far more serious than they expected. Meanwhile, elsewhere, inside the Grand Cabin Hotel, a very different event is taking place. A gleaming white sports car arrives at the hotel entrance. A group of men in black suits stands waiting. Among them is Deputy Captain Liang. He bows respectfully and walks forward to open the car door. From the car steps out a man with a strong presence. He has golden hair, a scar over one eye, and a cigar resting between his fingers. This is Hong Bing, the master of the Divine Guild. He moves with confidence and authority, followed closely by his subordinates. They walk past the hotel entrance and head directly for the ballroom. Inside the ballroom, the mood changes instantly when Hong Bing enters. The entire hall falls silent. The decorations shimmer under the bright chandeliers, reflecting the importance of the gathering. Guests pause mid-conversation to watch him pass. Liang follows behind, his eyes sharp. He scans the room and immediately spots two unexpected figures. Bai Lingsheng stands near a table, arms folded smugly. Beside him is investigator Cheng Jinwu. Liang feels completely confused. He knows that Bai Lingsheng was recently sentenced to a 15-day prison stay for violent behavior. Yet now he stands here, free and unbothered, in one of the most exclusive gatherings of the year. Something feels wrong. Cheng Jinwu notices Liang's confusion and approaches him. A sly smile plays across his face. He explains that Bai Lingsheng paid double the bail amount to secure early release. Their captain approved the request. Cheng Jinwu suggests Liang should not worry about it. He says there is no reason to make a scene. Liang clenches his jaw. Anger bubbles inside him. He asks directly why someone like Bai Lingsheng was brought to a formal dinner meant for Guild Master Hong Bing. He reminds Cheng Jinwu that a few days ago, Bai Lingsheng was still behind bars. Cheng Jinwu steps closer. He lowers his voice and explains that Bai Lingsheng was once part of the Divine Guild, and his expulsion came from a minor mistake, not from betrayal or dishonor. Now he sees this dinner as his chance to regain favor and rejoin the guild. To prove his sincerity, Bai Lingsheng has brought something valuable. Bai Lingsheng proudly reveals a heavy bag filled with magic crystals. These rare ores come from demon caves and are often used for enhancing gear or powering formations. He intends to present the bag as a tribute to Hong Bing. Cheng Jinwu ends the explanation by saying that since Bai Lingsheng offered everything he owns, granting him this small chance should not be a big problem. However, the plan collapses instantly. Before Bai Lingsheng can say anything, Hong Bing notices Bai Lingsheng carrying the bag. With no hesitation, he knocks it away. Crystals fly across the ballroom floor, shattering as they scatter. The sound echoes through the silent room. Hong Bing's eyes blaze with fury. He demands to know who allowed Bai Lingsheng to enter. Bai Lingsheng stares up at him, unable to speak. The guild master accuses him of being a security risk, reminding everyone that the Divine Guild booked the entire venue in secret. The fear of a leak or outside threat fuels his anger. The entire ballroom watches in stunned silence. Cheng Jinwu and Liang both go pale, and neither dares to step forward. Completely humiliated, Bai Lingsheng drops to his knees and frantically tries to gather the broken crystals while stammering apologies. But his pleas are cut short as Hong Bing lunges forward and violently grabs him by the collar. And with menacing glowing eyes, the guild master gets directly in Bai Lingsheng's face, asking with disgust what ability or status gives him the nerve to attempt such a bribe. The words are sharp. The disgust in his tone is impossible to miss. With one last push, Hong Bing shoves Bai Lingsheng to the floor. He tells him to leave immediately, taking his useless, broken things with him. No one in the room speaks. The only sound left is the slow shuffle of Bai Lingsheng trying to gather the shattered crystals as he retreats in shame. Guildmaster Hong Bing delivers a final and crushing command, declaring that from this moment forward, that man referred to as a dog is permanently banned from the guild. Bai Lingsheng lies sprawled on the floor among the broken fragments of his precious magic crystals, his face distorted by pure rage. Blood trickles from his tightly clenched fist as he mutters angry curses under his breath. In a violent outburst of fury, he drives his bloody fist into the ground, crushing the last remaining crystals while his eyes glow with a menacing red light. Consumed entirely by his humiliation, he screams out his intent to kill everyone who dared to disrespect him. Shrouded in a dark and murderous aura, Bai Lingsheng storms away from the Cabin Hotel. Right now, his mind is burning with rage over the public humiliation he has just suffered. He curses internally that nothing in his life seems to be proceeding correctly. And now, with no other outlet for his building anger, he fixates on a new and vulnerable target. An image of his wife Ryun returning home with groceries flashes through his thoughts, cementing his murderous resolve completely. He does not actually know where Bai and Ryun are currently living. However, while wandering around, he coincidentally spots Ryun outside her apartment building, and his eyes immediately glow with menace upon seeing her. Ryun senses imminent danger the moment she sees her husband, and overwhelmed by sheer terror, she drops her groceries onto the ground. Bai Lingsheng approaches her quickly and looms over her trembling form, his body covered in a terrifying red aura. Then, with a cruel and chilling tone, he sarcastically remarks on what he calls her good fortune in being found. Meanwhile, back at Old Wang's BBQ shop, Bai Yi and his group notice a group of men in dark, official-looking uniforms. A close-up view shows a golden pin on their cloaks, clearly displaying the Divine Guild insignia. Bai Yi calmly sips his drink, when someone mentions that they are a formal squad from the Divine Guild itself. The brown-haired boy gets excited about this development and tells Bai Yi that if he gains entry to the prestigious Divine Guild Academy, these uniformed men could become his future colleagues. He quickly corrects himself with a smile, suggesting he might even become their superior officer one day given his remarkable talents. Thinking all this, he grows visibly sad. He expresses that he never expected this birthday dinner to feel like a farewell meal between friends. Chi-yin responds by questioning who called it a farewell at all. She declares with strong determination that she will also work hard to enter the academy so she can join him there in the future. While Bai Yi watches the guild members pass by their table, a strange sense of unease slowly settles over him. He reflects internally that the day, while filled with many happy surprises, has been progressing a little too smoothly for his comfort. Specs, sensing the shift in mood around their table, quickly redirects the focus back to their celebration. He reminds everyone that today remains Bai Yi's special birthday, and they should save their serious worries for another time. Others agree with this sentiment, stating firmly that a birthday should be a time for simple enjoyment and celebration. Despite their cheerful words and efforts, Bai Yi cannot shake the persistent feeling that something is wrong somewhere. His friends, remain eager to continue their celebration. One of them raises his glass high for a toast to Bai Yi, and all four friends clink their cups together in a joyful cheer, loudly wishing him a happy birthday. However, just then, the resonant jade stone that Bai Yi is wearing around his neck starts resonating. And at that exact same moment, back outside the apartment, his mother Ryun is trembling in pure terror and is clutching her matching necklace in fear. She looks up in horror and finds her husband Bai Lingsheng looming over her, his entire body radiating a menacing red aura that seems to pulse with violence. She collapses to the ground under the weight of her fear, and he begins to taunt her cruelly. He suggests she has been living so comfortably behind his back that she has completely forgotten her true home and place. She desperately tries to shuffle away from him across the ground. While he continues his vicious verbal assault, he venomously demands to know which man has been supporting her new life and funding her apartment. She sees his eyes glowing with pure, unhinged rage that seems to consume him completely. With a twisted, sadistic grin spreading across his face, he cracks his knuckles loudly. He concludes his threat by stating coldly that today he will make her remember what he calls her proper place in his world. With wild fury, Bai Lingsheng prepares to strike his terrified wife, Ryun. However, his attention is suddenly drawn to an object on her wrist. He notices a costly-looking bracelet that glows with a faint green light. As his wife looks on in terror, he comes to a twisted conclusion. Laughing manically, he deduces she must have received it from another man, which would explain how they could afford such a nice apartment. In a burst of violence, he throws a punch toward his helpless wife, who is cowering on the ground. Just as Bai Lingsheng's fist is about to strike his wife, her bracelet suddenly erupts with brilliant green energy. The light forms a solid protective barrier around her. From this glowing shield, two enormous monstrous figures materialize, and one of them catches Bai Lingsheng's fist in midair, stopping his violent attack completely. Bai Lingsheng is startled at this, and stares in confusion, unable to comprehend what is happening before him. Standing protectively before Bai Yi's mother are two imposing summoned beasts, Yi Wuming and Si Wuming. They position themselves firmly between the terrified woman and her violent husband. Yi Wuming speak to Bai Yi's mother, assuring her she should not worry because they will defend her to their last breath. This moment triggers a flashback for Ryun. She remembers Bai Yi giving her the bracelet as a Mother's Day gift. Her son had explained its protective purpose and insisted she wear it constantly whenever he was not with her. Then, without any hesitation, Si Wuming lunges forward with its eyes glowing brightly. It charges directly at Bai Lingsheng with a powerful energy-infused strike. Bai Lingxing scrambles backward to evade the attack but finds himself immediately on the defensive. He is now forced to fight both Si Wuming and Yi Wuming simultaneously. Despite his combat experience, he quickly becomes outmatched by the twin beasts. Then a powerful blow from Si Wuming lands squarely on his body, striking with immense force. The impact sends him sliding backward across the ground, blood already spilling from a fresh wound on his side. However, instead of showing pain or fear, a twisted and bloody smile spreads across Bai Lingxing's face. Surrounded by a crackling aura of red lightning, he declares internally that this brutal fight is the perfect way for him to finally release all of his pent-up rage. Meanwhile, Bai Yi is still enjoying a celebratory birthday dinner with his friends at Old Wang's BBQ shop. However, the happy atmosphere is suddenly broken when he looks down at the resonant jade stones he is wearing, and his expression turns serious as he realizes the stones have activated, signaling his mother is in danger. Without a word, he abruptly stands up and tells his confused friends he has something urgent to take care of. He rushes out of the restaurant, promising he will be back soon, leaving his friends shocked by his sudden departure. Once outside, Bai Yi immediately calls Hong Guangsheng, asking for an update on the information he had requested. On the other end, Hong confirms Bai Yi's worst fears. He reports that Bai Lingsheng was released from prison earlier than scheduled. Hong Guangsheng adds that after his release, Bai Lingsheng went to a formal reception hosted by Hong's father at the Cabin Hotel. There, he suffered public humiliation and was kicked out of the event. Hong finishes by saying that after leaving the hotel, Bai Lingsheng's location is unknown. This troubling information settles heavily on Bai Yi. He immediately tries calling his mother's phone but receives no answer. The unanswered call confirms his growing fear that she is not safe. Standing alone in the dark alley, he quickly pieces together the disturbing situation. He remembers with sudden clarity that the Cabin Hotel stands very close to the new apartment he rented for his mother. The terrible realization hits him that if his enraged father encountered his mother in his current violent state, she would face grave and immediate danger. Fueled by this urgent understanding, Bai Yi grips his bicycle's handlebars, leaps onto the seat and pushes off with powerful momentum. He speeds through the night streets, his eyes glowing with fierce determination as he races towards home. And that is it for today. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and drop your thoughts in the comments. Until next time.